man? How long you been in the wastelands, my brother?
He's a ghoul. He's a ghoul.
You need some rat away quick.
Goal.
He doesn't look like that though. Why'd they do that to him?
I think he does kind of look that way.
Look at here, normal ass dude.
Find another photo of him head on. I think his eyes are really uneven.
Let's take a look.
It's one of the other ones you.
Here he is. This is a young buck.
Yeah, no, look.
Yeah,
Same thing.
Oh man,
Yes.
I'm
his
telling
shit's
you.
wild.
He just got a crooked ass
Oh.
face.
It's
Okay.
It looks like when someone accidentally does that, like on Facetune, where they're trying to fix something else, but they kind of move another part of their face.
Get it off of me. I don't want your elephant
I don't know how
on
to
my face.
I don't know how to describe him, but like he strikes me as someone that's made of like sawdust. Like he just seems like he's dusty.
What?
And he's just like thrown together. Like I don't know, his
Like
whole
he's
body.
stuffed, like he's like some sort of scarecrow man.
He's just like his whole thing. He just reminds me of like he's just sand and sawdust.
He's very dusty looking.
Like
I'm with you.
his whole thing, he's just crushed.
Yo,
thing is just sand and
he's
sawdust.
dusted, dude.
And like even back then, it's like he looks like he's a lifetime smoker. Like he's just everything about him is just like grimy.
Dusty Goose.
And it's just like inhuman. He's got this otherworldly quality to him. Look at that. What the fuck? Sorry, but whoa. Hold on.
Turn back.
I'm just trying to go to the right. I don't know what's the big deal.
Oh my god.
Why? What is wrong with you, Google? Why the fuck do you constantly? Okay. Is that normal?
I found the original photo in Discord.
We see he's kind of cocked his head a little bit, which I think kind of masks.
But do you see
uneven-
his face? His skin looks like sandpaper.
I mean, he's an old man.
No, but it's not his age. He always looked like sandpaper.
He looks fragile.
His first job was buffing marble with his face. Good paying job. Fair. It was a fair job. Honest work.
You get a quarter for that one, kid.
Okay, this is not real. Stop.
No, that's the same photo.
So original.
That can't be.
That was like fucking Sloth from the Goonies. Hey, you guys.
Toxic Avenger.
The COVID vaccine is not safe.
What happened?
I don't know. I was just doing a Goonie thing. But, you know, like, I'm sorry, but this is the guy who's telling us not to take vaccines. This motherfucker needs vaccines because he looks like...
He needs deworm. He needs ivermectin, dude.
He looks like he's like a deconstructed human being. You know how like they do that at 5-star? They go, deconstructed
Latte.
yeah, latte, where they put like crumbs of fucking
Right.
espresso, a sugar cube. It's like, shut up. That's him. He's a,
Yo.
I don't know, man.
An old friend of the show just dropped an image that I need to share with you all.
Okay, interesting. I'll tell you what, this guy could use some vaccine.
What is this?
That's the dude from Men in Black, one of the great villains of all time. Oh, no, that's not true. The lunchtime,
Gross.
Oh,
I
that's
wonder his head is all crooked. Your head's all cockeyed, brother.
Zach knows.
Hey, RFK, just like this, just... He looks like, I think I've said this joke before, but he looks like the beginning of Mario 64.
I don't think you've said that one. You have a lot. You're ready to go on this guy.
You know the beginning, you take the thing, you push,
stretch his face.
this is what happens.
Face.
This is what happens when you kids fuck around with the Mario 64 and you don't release his face. We need it to bounce back. Boing.
Hi, Cam.
Did Cam make this?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's why they use it.
Oh,
That's a really good meme, Cam.
yeah, it is.
I guess I just missed my old friend. Some birds just got feathers way too bright like. Making memes too good, can't keep them memes locked up too long, gotta spread wings flying of it. I swear. This is RFK. Fuck me, dude. Let him go. Let his face go. Free my boy.
Oh, God.
Free RFK. I'm being too hard on him.
I mean, he sucks a lot. But I don't know. I feel a little bit more sympathetic after learning that half of his gray matter has been consumed by a worm.
Seriously.
So the other weird thing is RFK Jr. shirtless. He's like jacked
What?
as fuck, and he's 70. Watch this.
Yeah.
He did some weird he did some weird shirtless shoot with I don't know what, but he's got his jeans
What?
on. He look at his body,
70?
look at his proportions. He's built like Hulk.
What the hell?
Look at his hand.
Jealous much? Now I know why you're
Kind of.
fucking.
Look at him. That dude is built, dude. He's like a fucking whole snack.
That is crazy.
That's not just the fillet, that's the whole T-bone. That's a T-bone steak, enough for a whole family.
That worm is doing some amazing things in there.
Know your way around some meat.
So he's
Gotta
real.
get myself a brain worm.
So he's
Look at
jacked.
that. He looks very sawdusty in these photos, by the way.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
There's something weird about this shit. Like what?
I feel like they smoothed him in that one.
Yeah, why
They
does it
smoothed
look
him.
Photoshop?
The other ones that you were showing, he was way more sawdusty.
Is he a smoker? Like he looks like he's a
No.
smoker, but I don't think he is.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But you know what I mean? He has that dusty, that Dust Bowl kind of been on dusty trail now.
RFK Jr. Smoke.
We're escaping the Dust Bowl. Last year out in Oklahoma, I had a hard take, lost our
Oh, no.
crop.
It looks like maybe he was a smoker.
How long did he smoke? 300 years? Hitting the old dusty
No,
trail.
I think it was just people speculating if he'd smoked because of the voice thing.
Oh yeah, no, it's not even the voice thing. It's the. Anyway, so he's jacked. He's married to Cheryl. He's also somewhat of an enigma. Before he went on this whole crusade against vaccines, he had some really good liberal policies. Like he's a hardcore environmentalist in a good way.
That's how he made his bones. Is he was a lawyer. He was an environmentalist, like activist lawyer, essentially.
Okay.
And he was
Done
like
some good things in the
Yeah, he was like a good, like solid lib, you know. And now he's gone cuckoo. And his main platform now, he's just obsessed with vaccines. That's all he fucking talks about. Just vaccines, COVID vaccines, and now he's talking about like all vaccines.
Been grazing the neo-Nazi sphere.
In what way?
Wasn't there that tweet he put out that was speculating? There was like,
Oh yeah, what was that? I know he's like mega pro-Israel, so I don't know if he's neo-Nazi.
There's overlap there sometimes.
You know what's one of the weirdest pro-Israel guys I've found? John Fetterman. Have you seen his takes on Israel?
He's insane.
Yes, he's insane.
I was like, whoa, where did he come from?
Who's that?
He was a guy who ran as like a very progressive for Senate in the last election. There's so much weird shit about him.
He's a straw dude. Well, he had a stroke right before.
He had a stroke, I think several years before, and then had another one like either right after the election or just prior to the election. I think it was just prior, but then he still won. And then I don't know, in the last like 6 months, he's just like really gone off the deep end.
Is it just the Israel stuff, or is he still?
No, he seems to be becoming the new Kristen Sinema.
Wait, I saw him go. He made a stance against fake meat.
Yeah,
He's like, I don't believe in fake meat. I stand with our farmers.
No, he's like he's turned out to be like a Joe Manchin or a Kristen Sinema, where they're like Dems, but they side with the
That
Republicans
sucks.
on a lot of stuff.
I thought because he wears hoodies and gym shorts.
Enemy took Bravo. Losing C. Taking A. We're being dominated. Get aggressive. We're losing the advantage. Taking Charlie.
Nasty. All right. Thank you, Dan.
Charlie locked down.
Wow.
Welcome, everybody. It is the A Street Podcast. It is 2/16, February the 16th. My voice is absolutely clear. This is the first time I've actually tried projecting since I woke up this morning. And I'll have you guys understand one thing. This is all a result of going to Oliver Tree's dumbass live performance, 800 DPI. And you guys know that I am strongly opposed to any outings. And here is the reason, man. I was feeling a little sick. I woke up, I was feeling a little sick on Saturday. Started. On Monday morning, I was like, I think I'm okay. Then I go to Oliver Tree's show. It's full of degenerates smoking weed inside. Did you guys notice how many freaking people were smoking weed inside? That was criminal.
That's crazy. A concert? It was wild, man.
Well,
How'd they get it in?
It did feel smoky,
it's illegal.
but
The security
Also,
not do
who
did
anything?
No. I
I saw a few people smoking behind you.
No. Right behind?
maybe it was right behind us.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Maybe they work for you guys.
Who was smoking behind me?
No.
What? I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. I am so sorry that happened to you.
Anyway, we saw his. You don't sound serious, Dan. You
No,
don't.
that's a serious crime. Narcotics?
It's not a
Bring narcotics? It's just a bunch of young people trying to have a good time.
Hold on, weed's not
Bringing narcotics
narcotic.
into it?
I prefer they were
Handled
doing
by
narcotics,
narcotics
Dan. I wouldn't have to
division,
breathe their dirty air. I wish they were shooting up heroin. It wouldn't bother me at all.
It's fucking nice out.
But now my voice is absolutely screwed thanks to all these degenerates at Oliver Tree's concert. And he brought me on stage, and he humiliated me on stage. He said it's his last LA show. Apparently it is. And
Last of this tour.
and I'm glad that nobody else has to go suffer through one of those shows. Let's see, we have some videos. He brought me on stage at the end, me and Hila.
Boosted.
Shut up.
Of my arch nemesis, I want you to chant with me. It goes something like this. Fuck Ethan Klein! Ethan Klein, sing it!
And then his bandmates were throwing shit at me. They did not. And he threw that bottle at me really hard. It was not okay. In my mind, we were running faster.
I got him back. Did you see?
You did? Oh, thank you,
There.
Hila.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Dunked his ass.
Take the objectives.
I feel like I'm so goofy on stage.
What does that mean?
I look so goofy. I don't know, the way I'm like just... I don't know. There's no swag.
No, really.
I disagree.
Who sang The Reservoir? Oh, that was Jeff. Did you know about that?
Oh,
The
no.
reservoir is empty, he said.
Ooh,
Pretty good.
Okay.
good one.
Well, luckily for Jeff, I'm about to make it rain.
What does that mean?
It's gonna refill his reservoir.
Fill the reservoir, yeah.
Yeah.
With all that stage swag.
Maybe it's because you're wearing pants. You like felt off.
You know
Oh,
what?
you don't recognize yourself.
Yeah.
My posture's kind of bad. I wish I was standing up straighter. Also, they obviously muted my mic. They put my volume down to 25% so nobody could hear me. He's awesome.
Taking the lead.
Thank you both. What a show. This was amazing. Thank you.
I think like there was probably like a decent chunk of people that were fans who knew who we are, and then there was probably a big chunk of people that had no fucking clue what was going on. That being said, to be serious, the show was really amazing.
Yes, it was.
And Oliver, he was a great live performer. His voice was on point. The band sounded amazing.
The band.
There was no like they weren't playing on like backup soundtracks. You know, the bands always do that. They like play over their own music. This was all live, and it was all like flawless. It was really amazing.
And the whole production, it's clear that I mean, obviously that's his whole style and brand, but he always goes above and beyond. And so there's so many moving parts and videos and little bits and skits.
Yeah, it was great.
Stuff. Everything was really well produced.
Also, Total Sweetheart got all of us in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dan stayed home. Dan.
Well, I knew that there was going to be weed smoking there, so.
The whole time I was like, Dan, he should have my ticket. No, but
Okay, go ahead.
no, just being serious for a brief moment. Oliver's it was a total sweetheart and a great guy, and nothing but love there for him. And this was his last show, I think, for a long time of doing this set. He's become a DJ now, which is hilarious. It's like, bro, another DJ? Okay. He's like, there's no overhead, dude. I was like, okay, fair enough, I guess. You know, it looks like an expensive show to put on. For sure.
For sure.
But all that being said, we love them. Not more expensive than ours.
Hell no.
Ours looks more expensive.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, we love you, Oliver, and we wish you all the best in your new career as a DJ.
Is he changing his name? You have like a DJ name?
DJ Dick Cheney. I thought that's what you said. I like the ring of it. DJ Dick Cheney. It's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
Because we're dropping bombs on these villages.
Dick 2.
You guys like the thumbnail today? Cameron has been on fire this whole
He
week.
really has been.
Drop that in Discord.
Sure, yeah, I'm actually cleaning it up right now, but here's the
People
work in progress.
do remember that you decided to share my drink, even though I was sick.
Well, no, I thought I was over it. But no, just stop. We all were sick. The kids were sick, Eva was sick, and then I got it last. So everybody's, I think, safe. I'm not going to reinfect you with the same illness. That seems unlikely.
And it makes me
No, well,
fucking
they think that's how you got it from me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was going to... Dude, I'm
They're
telling
just
you.
saying it's not going to the show.
No, the show definitely made it worse, you guys. I was feeling totally fine yesterday.
Sick?
We did the whole members. I was feeling great. My voice was fine. Then all of a sudden, I go to Oliver Twist fucking Playhouse treasure room.
Fight! Fight! Fight!
Here is the lollipops continue to wage a war against righteousness and light. And here I am, like Archangel Gabriel, the highest order of angels, brought down to the earth to battle against the wicked demon lollipops.
Watch that demon die!
Who are and contaminating the soil, the minds of the people. They are distributing lollipops to the people of the world. And God sent me on a holy mission to stomp them out, to shine light upon their dark, dark souls.
Amen.
Enarius, is that who I am?
Yeah,
This is me.
Enarius.
This is me as fuck.
Yeah.
That's you right
Yeah,
there.
that's an area.
Power and fear before my righteous light.
It's better than Gabriel.
God did.
Yeah.
Cower before me, fools.
God did.
That's right. You know, these people, they can't get enough. Like, Keffels went and made like a lollipop manifesto.
Ooh.
She's like, bro, not only am I going to defend Foch publicly, I'm going to put my whole stake, everything I have on defending drawn cartoon pornography of
boy.
children.
We've all jerked at the lolly at some point or another.
No.
No.
So it's gonna be fun just because it's so dumb. We're gonna have fun with it, so it's gonna be good. And again, this is one of the rare situations in my whole career where it's like I'm right.
On September 16th, just a couple of days ago, allegations came out about Russell Brand in a joint piece, an article in The Times, and a documentary on Channel 4 Dispatches. The allegations are terrifying. Obviously, huge content warning for SA. If you can't stomach that right now, watch a different video or hit subscribe and come back for the next one. Or don't. In short, 3 women and one 16-year-old girl describe violent attacks, SARAPE, and physical abuse. Each of the accounts are harrowing. The reaction from gender-critical anti-trans activists, the same ones who claim to be feminists, was appalling.
The man is anti-transing children, anti-Ferguson mandates, anti-1T-minute cities, anti-censorship, etc., etc., etc. Don't get distracted by it all.
Why would support or sympathy be given to a group of women who have yet to report their claims to the police?
Nothing says feminist more than someone named XX Females claiming that survivors don't deserve sympathy unless they're willing to put themselves on trial in a system created to protect the interests of powerful men.
Russell Brand and Brianna J are one and the same. The root cause is narcissism.
Brianna, if you remember, is the young trans girl who was stabbed multiple times in a park by her peers, fatally. The comfort gender-critical people have comparing an accused rapist to a murdered teen is honestly impressive in a completely disgusting kind of way. Every day, they're setting new lows, setting world records for showing less and less humanity.
It's a measure of the depths of our cynicism that when a scandal like this breaks, my first reaction is to wonder why they are trying to silence the person. At least Russell Brand has done journalism and tried to bring the truth to the public, not something you could say of his media accusers. Let's see what they've got on him.
A measure of the depths of your cynicism. No thoughts for the 16-year-old victim?
I haven't read the story. I just wonder why now.
I, too, just like to sit and just wonder things instead of seeking answers in the text. How little were the little women? Who are Romeo and Juliet? We may never know. You shouldn't be surprised. This is exactly what gender-critical ideology leads to. Just a few years ago, on BBC Radio 4's Today program, Germaine Greer said that the 84 women who have launched cases against Weinstein were wrecking people's lives, calling them career rapees. And gender-critical people are doing the same now in defense of Russell Brand. EJ Rosetta, an unhinged anti-trans grifter who recently went viral for tweeting about how she wanted to trigger her trans twin by wearing turf colors. Sorry, but this is just too ridiculous not to talk about. Please, the Barneyfication of politics needs to stop. Anyway, EJ, she also came out in support of Brand.
I love watching Russell Brand because if I can understand even 1/3 of what he says, that means I'm very, very clever. Oh, also, hi, Russell. We met twice when I was 16, and so they say, irresistible. I have a very good predator radar, and you're not one. You were sweet and respectful. I was 16, and so they say, gorgeous, and very determined to have his attention. He knew my age and did nothing inappropriate at all. I was rather peeved. Twice! I can only speak from my own experience, of course, but there it is. I'm not sure if Russell Brand knew that I was 16. I looked and acted far older. People used to believe I was 22 all the time. Remember when you were so young you wanted to look older? Ah, those were the days.
Ladies and gentlemen, gender-critical feminism in a nutshell. The gall of someone to say, oh my God, I was like super pretty, and he didn't even assault me. And I was like, so mad. You're disgusting. You need therapy. You need a rabies shot. And it's not just her.
At least Russell Brand knows what a woman is.
I'm not sure Brand ever claimed to be a woman and invaded women's spaces. Fuck Eddie Izzard and all autogynephiles. They should be drowned, in my opinion, for the record.
Yeah, sure, he raped women and girls, but he knows what a woman is and he didn't invade a woman's space. What the fucking hell do you think rape is if not invading women's spaces? Literally, physically. These people are nauseating. But of course, it's trans people are the ones who should be drowned. Jesus, I've said so many demonetizable words so many times now that I'm scared I'm gonna have to bleep out 95% of the uses in this video. If you have a clever little idea about how to get by having to bleep out words, let me know in the comments because people love to complain about this. Like, do you prefer a bleep or a silence or a sound effect so I can do it in the least annoying way possible? By the way, with how many times I have to discuss topics YouTube hates in this video, it's definitely going to be at least flagged as limited ads, but most likely will be demonetized entirely. So consider signing up for my Patreon so I can continue to cover important and sensitive topics without being scared I can't pay my rent. In the last month, YouTube has restricted 2 of my videos just for saying the word queer. So I'm a bit worried over here, especially given what I'm going to be discussing next, the allegations. Again, content warning, you don't need to watch this.
One woman alleges that Brand raped her against a wall in his Los Angeles home. She was treated at a rape crisis center on the same day, according to medical records. Text messages show that in the hours after leaving his house, she told Brand that she had been scared by him and felt taken advantage of, adding, quote, "When a girl says no, it means no," end quote. Brand replied saying that he was, quote, "very sorry," end quote. A second woman alleges that Brand assaulted her when he was 31 and she was 16 and still at school. She said he referred to her as, quote, "the child," end quote, during an emotionally abusive and controlling relationship that lasted for about 3 months, and that Brand once, quote, "forced his penis down her throat," end quote, making her choke. She says she tried to push him off and said she had to punch him in the stomach to make him stop. A third woman claims that he sexually assaulted her while she worked with him in Los Angeles, and that he threatened to take legal action if she told anyone else about her allegation. The fourth described being sexually assaulted by Brand and him being physically and emotionally abusive towards her.
This is what gender-critical people are claiming is far-fetched. Somehow, all trans women are guilty of being a danger to cis women because they're men, but cis men who actually assault women are innocent until proven guilty. The reason they've chosen Brand to defend, despite him not being a raging transphobe who never shuts about anti-trans conspiracies, is because, like them, he's still a conspiracy theorist. He's still a reactionary, a truth teller, just like them, silenced by the powers that be. Jewish people who run the media, apparently. Silenced just like them.
They, the powers that be, do use this tactic to target men and slur them. If this wasn't the case, why didn't this come out long before? Why now? I followed Russell Brand for some time, and for the last few years he's exposed corruption on a massive scale. So put 2 and 2 together.
But on top of that, gender-critical ideology is just very much in favor of promoting rape culture when it suits the talking points. Julia Hartley Brewer, an anti-trans activist who has the critical thinking skills of a dry sponge, came out pushing one of rape culture's most harmful ideas. They probably wanted it and then changed their mind after.
Without a police inquiry or court case, we can't know for sure what really happened. The reality is that there have been and still are many, many men in the showbiz world who behave in the way Russell Brand is being accused of, and they're surrounded by men and women who allow it, cover it up, and even enable it. But there are also plenty of women who actively want to have a one-night stand sex with celebrities like Russell Brand. The issue is whether they are too easy prey for exploitation when it goes wrong. Why him? Why now? Because he's famous and the women were willing to speak out.
When someone pointed out that one of these women who actively want to have a one-night stand was actually a 16-year-old girl, anti-trans activist Julia responded,
Yep, old enough to vote according to Labor and the SMP, but not old enough to choose her sexual partner?
Sarah Fillmore, a gender-critical anti-trans activist, as cringe as she is vile, was incensed that a former prosecutor tweeted that reporting on the allegations against Brand was meticulously investigated and sourced. She was claiming that he should not be able to state his opinion, calling it a trial by media. When asked how it was a trial by media, she said that he was inviting people to believe the survivors. Something I think most feminists would find not only completely normal, but virtuous. Not a gender-critical feminist, though. When asked,
"Isn't investigative journalism's raison d'etre to uncover abuses of power?"
she replied,
Yes. Is spending 4 years to report that women were upset Brand didn't call them back a good use of those 4 years, I wonder? This is clickbait. Take the evidence to the police if it's meticulous.
They don't care about actually protecting women or girls, which is why Kelly J. Keane will imply David Tennant is a pedophile for supporting gender and sexual minorities, but then come out sounding like a 4chan Nazi conspiracy theorist, Michael Myers, in defense of frickin' Epstein.
Not a single person named on Epstein's list has been questioned by the police. It's not whether a person has committed crimes these days. It's about whether they serve a purpose.
Amazing that she can apply someone who has committed no crimes as a sex offender who preys on children to serve her anti-trans agenda, but going after Epstein is too far for her. Although it makes a little more sense when you know that Kelly J herself has a connection to Epstein. The white supremacist she worked with received $25,000 from Jeffrey Epstein to produce propaganda and requested additional funding from Epstein to finance his book. This is the gender-critical version of the enemy of my enemy is my friend, except abusers and violent men aren't the enemy of gender-critical ideology. They're the backbone of it. You might be asking why, if they're so pro-rape culture, would they constantly be using feminist-sounding language about protecting women and girls from abuse? That's incredibly obvious once you've spent enough time in their circles. Why would they do it? To recruit. To gender-critical ideology, rape and sexual assault are a talking point, a tool to weaponize the trauma of survivors to recruit new people into their reactionary ideology. But still, their ideology isn't built on being internally consistent. It doesn't need to be consistent when it eschews science and reason for gut instinct and sloganeering. And while they've really gone mask off this week, gender-critical anti-trans activists denying that people have been raped isn't new. It's actually a core part of their ideology. So integral, in fact, that they'll even attack rape crisis centers if they help anyone they deem not to be true victims of rape, which is often men, lesbians, and young boys and girls whose perpetrator was a woman. For example, when Rape Crisis Scotland launched an extra service, an online platform where survivors could seek help in crisis, notable gender-critical cultist and anti-trans activist Alison Bailey attacked them for not catering only to cis women, but also because she doesn't believe that lesbians raped by their partners are real rape victims, that young boys raped by their teachers or female family members are real rape victims. Only women penetrated by a man with a penis are rape victims, and as such, any and all services should be tailored to them. In Western society, lesbian intimacy and relationships are undermined and invalidated at every turn. Their love is played off as fleeting and confused. Their sex is seen as something existing for the male gaze, not an expression of genuine attraction and intimacy. And definitely, lesbians are not viewed as having as valid of a relationship as straight people, sexually or emotionally. And these sentiments inform the laws created around rape and sexual assault. Allison and other anti-trans activists will say that they're just following the letter of the law. But the reason why rape is classified in the UK as penetration with a penis is because that's what sex is to the patriarchy. It is based on a heterosexist, misogynistic, and homophobic idea of sex. And when you uphold the laws informed by these bigotries, you uphold the bigotry itself as a law. How would an ideology that believes lesbians can't be raped by their partners ever benefit women? They throw lesbians under the bus in a second if they can hurt some trans people in the process. Even the lesbians like Allison do it. She's the kind of lesbian that works for a homophobic anti-trans lobby group, so we can't expect too much from her. The whole reason gender-critical people do things like attack rape crisis centers is to fuel anxiety. And honestly, when you put all their conspiracy theories together, you can see how terrifying and disgusting their imagined reality must be. Children are being butchered, mutilated, groomed by the thousands a year. Women's change rooms are being filled with disgusting, hairy rapists, pedophiles, and perverts. There's an epidemic of rapes being committed against young women by men in dresses. And if you go to get help, everyone at the Rape Crisis Center is a rapist in a dress too, who will call you a bigot for not wanting to be raped. You can't even say the word woman anymore without trans activists trying to cancel you with their X posts on X.com. But Russell Brand, he's just a sweet man being smeared by lying sluts who want attention. Like, Jesus, the Venn diagram of gender-critical people and misogynists is just this. While in the gender critical groups, I saw them doing the same song and dance as on Twitter.
This, in my opinion, is the mainstream media doing a takedown of someone who has been antagonizing them for years by challenging their narrative. This is Trial My Media, and all part of the cancel culture that many of us oppose. But carry on screaming off with his head, like the mainstream media want.
Seen it too many times before. As soon as men expose the shit the predator class is getting up to, out come the murky allegations that he's a rapist. So if you don't treat him like a leper, then you're evil.
He never denies that he was promiscuous. I think he is being targeted as he is getting too close to the truth in some of his rants. He has already been demonetized by YouTube. Every action he took is pretty normal in the realm of Hollywood. The only reason he's being publicly blamed for it is that he's speaking about topics that people would rather he be silent about. There are thousands of other high-profile people that have done far worse than him that are protected. Not a single person from Epstein's list has been arrested or convicted, other than Ghislaine, of course.
One woman even said that the reason she didn't believe the reporting is that the Times
smeared Rowling as anti-trans,
using J.K. Rowling's transphobia as the reason you don't believe survivors of rape. Nice legacy you have there. Would be a shame if anything happened to it. These comments are all from women in groups I joined while doing my 3-part series on my time undercover as Carol Marinera. And yes, sometimes I wish I chose a more serious sounding name. Too late now. The gender critical groups are where I first realized how little the ideology is actually invested in dismantling rape culture. In fact, they're intent on upholding it, to give the less aware members the benefit of the doubt, which I'm not sure they deserve. It's hard to identify every single thing you believe to be true for no reason other than society has told you it was. Rape culture is insidious. It's so ingrained in the narratives we are taught from birth, sometimes outright said, but often just implied. But it's always dangerous. Pushing the narrative that rapists and sexual abusers are gender-bent men lurking in bathrooms, so obviously the man who didn't abuse you when you were 16 is safe to be around because he was not unpleasant in your interactions and he didn't identify as a woman, he must not be violent. This goes against every stat we have on who is most likely to abuse someone, people they know. And it sets up a world in which people, mostly women and kids, are taught to trust the wrong people, to fear the wrong people, and then not be believed when that naivety is taken advantage of. And that's exactly what these women say happened when they told people about Brand. They weren't believed. Who doesn't want to fuck a celebrity, right? I believe these women, not just because I'm a feminist, and not just because I'm a survivor of intimate partner violence and rape, and not just because their stories are meticulously documented, with evidence going back over a decade. I believe them because I have literally no reason not to. I know gender critical rape apologists will say things like,
I've watched most of the documentary. Seems sus to me. He may be a total arsenal to women, but that doesn't make it illegal. They seem to be clutching at straws.
Exactly right. Rape and bad, obnoxious behavior aren't the same either. When he is convicted, I will shut up.
It's called a presumption of innocence, and it's a basic human right.
But guess what? I'm not a court of law. I'm not bound to this failed fucking excuse of a justice system. I don't care if he's not been proven guilty by a patriarchal institution that would rather incarcerate a black person for having a gram of weed than a cop who murders someone in cold blood during a wellness check. And yes, even in my mind, he had the presumption of innocence. And then, unlike many of his defenders, I simply looked at the allegations, read the evidence, and came to my own opinion. A presumption of innocence doesn't extend into ignoring the evidence. They're free to think him innocent despite all evidence to the contrary, but I don't have to. I'm not a judge, I'm not a juror, and I am certainly not obligated to wish upon him anything other than what he deserves, which likely is a lot worse than whatever is going to happen to him because of this. I can tell you one thing, though. If every single detail about this case was identical, every single accusation, the response from Brand, all of it was the same, but Brand also identified as a woman, these same people defending him would be calling for his execution, would be using this as proof of the inherent violence of men that all trans women possess in their sexed souls or whatever. The gender critical and TERF movements are based on a single issue ideology. The only thing that matters is harming trans people. There is no room for feminism when the plate's already full, not even as a treat. This is one of the videos I felt compelled to make, the kind of script that I scrap all my plans for the week and feverishly write which is unfortunate because these are the videos that come from a place I prefer not to visit. From that knot of pain and trauma in my nervous system that spiderwebs out and taints everything, because I remember what it was like to not be believed, to tell someone what was happening and have it be brushed off. I'm sure that means a bunch of people who spend all day on Reddit and Facebook will call me biased, say I'm just triggered. I really don't care. I call it empathy. Something you'd hope gender-critical people would have would show to 4 women who tell terrifying stories of being groomed, abused, and raped. But they have no empathy left to show. All they have is their malice, their talking points, and each other. I just wish that their ideology, miserable and lonely and poisonous, would be seen for what it is. And maybe one day, people like E.J. Smith, Kelly J. Keane, Julia Hartley Brewer, and every other person using the guise of women's rights as a shield against criticism will be seen for what they are. The same thing they call other women. Handmaids of the patriarchy. If you think this video has value, please give it a like, comment, share after you subscribe. I don't care if you share it to your Twitter account with 1 follower. YouTube sees that as a signal that it's worth watching. I have a Patreon where you can support me if you'd want to. It'd be nice, and I would appreciate it. I would prefer not to have to take sponsors on videos like this, or honestly at all ever, but that's not feasible for me right now. On my Patreon, there...
Enemy spy plane inbound. Multiple enemy spy plane contacts. Hostile counter spy plane established above. Enemy RCXD detected.
Smoke checked.
This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engaging with your audience and selling anything from products to content to time, all in one place, all on your terms. Hey Spuds, it's Jamie. Welcome back to another video. First on our channel. I don't know, but welcome either way. How we doing? How are you good today? Yes, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I'm very glad you're here today to join me for some homophobic memes. Those memes that are homophobic, deliberately homophobic, very much homophobic. No accidental allies here. I'm saying that because that's what I just filmed before this one. But yeah, we're going to be looking at those homophobic memes, so I hope you're ready for them. You're homophobic. Phobic? You think I'm scared? I mean, maybe, but mostly I just think you're a bigot. Might have the word phobic in it. It might be homophobia, but it is not all based on a fear. The definition of homophobia is a dislike or prejudice towards people who are gay or people who are not straight. Nowhere in there does it mention a fear, although what I would say, I think it does often come with a fear of the unknown. It comes with a level of being scared of something that you don't understand, so maybe you are a little bit scared. I don't get concept of pride. Interesting. I mean, how come can someone be proud just for their orientation in getting laid? I feel like this is one of the cis, straightest, most privileged things that can be said.
I don't get pride. I don't get why you need pride. Why do you need pride? Why do you get to be proud of who you are?
That's because you are the one that boils down LGBTQ identities to literally being just about sex, when there is a culture and LGBT plus people have been discriminated against for so long, and there is a necessity for pride and there is an importance for LGBT people to be uplifted and to understand that there is nothing wrong with them, because that's what society has been saying for so long. To not understand why somebody would celebrate pride and why somebody would have pride in themselves as an LGBT plus person and think that it's all down to just getting laid. Well, I know that you're cis and straight, extremely cis and extremely straight. And potentially a bit bigoted. Gays are normal people. Why do they always show like LGBT plus people as like the... I know why, I don't need the answer. So you can make fun of them. You cannot make fun of them, that's homophobic. So they are not such ordinary people. What? Hold on. You cannot make fun of them, that's homophobic. So you can make fun of them. Okay, I like how often homophobes are like,
oh, it's just a joke.
Oh, so sensitive.
Whilst just being so overtly discriminatory. There's a difference between making a joke that includes LGBT plus people and is about them and they are laughing along with you, and then there's making fun of and making a joke at the expense of gay people, of bi people, of trans people, of anybody who's LGBT plus, as a way to take the piss out of them for who they are and their identity that veers into the realm of discrimination. discrimination. You make a cracking gay joke, sure, that is not at the expense of gay people, great. That's not discrimination. It's not that you cannot have a laugh and make a joke. It's that you can't be an asshole. You can't literally say something homophobic and then be like,
it was a joke.
Solar energy will make you gay. Is that meant to be scaring people off solar energy or encouraging them to get solar energy? I can't tell if this is homophobic or not. Why is it that everything that right-wing people don't like, for some magical reason, will make you gay? It'll make you this other thing that they don't like. I wonder. Before we carry on with the homophobic memes, I do have some very sad news. Even more sad than homophobic memes. Well, remember my dinosaur dentistry business that I spoke about recently? Well, due to the amazing website I was able to create for it with Squarespace, I have been inundated with people telling me that dinosaurs are in fact extinct, which somewhat detracts from the necessity of a dinosaur dentist. Oh dear. Squarespace allowed me to create such an amazing website though that I am exploring the options of still selling some amazing dinosaur dentist related products, such as the meat and leaf flavored toothpastes, all using the amazing shop feature that Squarespace has to offer. Squarespace makes it easy peasy to sell your products online, whether they're physical like toothpaste, digital or service based. Squarespace has all the tools you need to start selling online. And this is made even easier with flexible payments, making checkout seamless for customers with simple yet powerful payment tools. Even a dinosaur themselves could order their own toothpaste, you know, if they weren't extinct. And they could pay using credit cards, PayPal, or even Apple Pay. And it's not just the shop and flexible payments that make it easy to sell online, but Squarespace's flexible website templates allow you to create a professional looking website easily and for any category. With Squarespace websites, you can customize the look, update content, and add features to fit your unique needs. It will be sad to say goodbye to dinosaur dentistry because dinosaurs are cool, transphobia is not. I guess I will just need to find something else. Maybe if you leave a comment down below of a job I could try out, I might just make a website out of it. To get started on your own website, go to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/JammyDodger and get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. The link is in the description. Thank you very much for listening. And now on with the homophobic memes. Homophobic? Damn straight, these homes spooky as F. Okay, I don't think this is a homophobic meme, but I also don't find it funny. Netflix, we're losing all our followers and money. What can we do? Make more crappy Netflix originals. Add more LGBTQ and minority charters. Stop raising prices and keep the good shows. Who do they throw out the building? We, the one who wants to stop raising prices and keep the good shows. But no, yes, we're going to joke at how much of a bad idea it is to have more diversity in the casts of Netflix shows. How funny. What do they mean by keep the good shows? I don't know what someone who is homophobic would consider a good show. Make more crappy Netflix originals. I agree with the stop raising prices bit, but that's where I stop and end with my agreement of this comment. Hard to swallow pills. Refusing to indulge another person's psychosis is not a phobia. Oh, the phobes think they're doctors now. I really do feel like often homophobia from this angle is occurring because to justify their homophobia, there has to be a very strong reason for it. And there has to be such like a belittling of the target of the phobia that it fixes that like dissonance in people's heads of like,
I'm not a bad person. Being homophobic is not bad because of this, and this reason.
So basically saying that people who are LGBT+ have some form of psychosis, and that's why they call you homophobic, rather than it just being the fact that you are being discriminatory and you're a bigot. The homophobes don't want the hard to swallow pill. They just want to live in a fake reality that they're not the problem and that LGBT+ people are the problem and there must be something wrong with them, and that's the reason why being homophobic is okay. Sorry I made you gay. Give me one last hug before you go to hell for eternity. This almost feels accidental ally-ish, because it's like, sorry I made you gay. Is that meant to be God hugging Jesus? I just assumed Jesus was gay. Why did I assume that God was talking to Sam? Okay, could be talking to anybody. Rewind. Sorry I made you gay. So God is saying sorry to a gay person that he made them gay. So the person who made this meme is admitting that what they believe that God makes people gay, but still sends them to hell. Because that is not a God I'd want to ever believe in. Personally, I don't anyway, but like, wow, yes. Almighty being that creates people in a way that they can cannot control or change that automatically means they are going to hell. Fiery pits of eternal damnation is for you because God made it that way. Wow. I don't need you anymore. I'm woke now. Honestly, I thought they just had a really high quiff of hair, but no. The whole, like, it's like an egg. That brain, proportionately, far too big. So technically you're saying to become woke, you require a big brain. I don't know why you would no longer need it once you reach the level of woke, but yeah, big brain woke people. I feel like this again goes to my point earlier where to excuse away homophobia and bigotry, there has to be something wrong with the target of that homophobia and bigotry. So it's like now it's like, oh, we hate on woke people because we're gonna say they're stupid. LGBT podcasts, Spotify is spoon feeding them to me who is straight and listens to homophobic rap. Is that you being annoyed? I think maybe Spotify knows something that you don't. I always see this, that I get so many comments on my videos going, ugh.
Why is this showing up on my suggested feed? Oh, I don't want to watch videos like this.
Newsflash, if you interact with, if you click on them, if you listen, if you rate things, if you like, if you comment, then YouTube and other platforms are going to promote those things to you even more. So going onto a video or something else and saying, why are you suggesting this to me?
Ew.
YouTube doesn't read that and go, oh, our bad, sorry, we won't do that again. Mr. Homophobic, Frank, sorry, Frank's out there. Yeah, he's commented on a trans person's video that he doesn't want to see that anymore. So yeah, make sure poor Frank doesn't see that stuff. Yeah, cool, good, thanks. That doesn't happen. What YouTube says is, Mr. Homophobic Frank commented on this trans-related video or LGBT plus related video. Let's suggest more because clearly he likes them because he's interacting with them. So whenever I see stuff like this, I'm just like, well, what are you doing to make Spotify think that you want LGBTQ plus podcasts? No matter how you color them, only one will fit. They're all rainbow. I like how bigots have just decided that inanimate objects that humans have created to plug one side into the other of something is now becoming the standard definition of what a functioning or working or correct relationship should look like. Yes, it's all about putting the two sides of the seatbelt buckle together in a way that clicks shut. Any other way, no. That means the humans are incorrect. I don't know either. It doesn't make sense. But with this one, all the belts are rainbow. I feel like someone made an error, but I'm not mad about it. How do I get a job? How do I pay taxes? How do I buy a new house? School. Well, actually, progress flag. So instead of teaching kids useful things, they're being taught LGBTQ plus stuff because we all know that the gay curriculum is overtaking the schools and that is all kids are learning about these days. Tell me, I never learned about doing taxes and buying a house in school, but I also never learned about LGBT plus stuff. I don't think that inclusive education is the reason why education is still lacking in like practical life skills and general knowledge. They're very separate things that can both be taught. But I like how homophobes have decided, no, it's not the fact that kids have never been taught these useful life skills and life knowledge things in school. That's not the problem.
The problem is LGBTQ plus education.
The tiny bit of the curriculum that is in some schools, that is why kids do not know how to pay their taxes. A cat with homophobia in its eyes. I think that's very rude. Cats would never be homophobic. I don't get it, because the cat has two different coloured eyes. I'm very confused. A boy and his puppy both with homophobia. And it's the same thing. What is this? I need to Google if this is a thing. So I Googled it. These memes perhaps do not sit in homophobic memes. Different coloured eyes is called heterochromia. Apparently somebody misspelt it to be homophobic, but I don't believe that. I understand you wouldn't know the word heterochromia, but to mistake it for homophobia? I don't know. I feel like someone's trying to make a bad joke. Gay couple asks for way to their location. Me after telling them to go straight. Ha ha. Because you're telling them to go straight to hell. Only really works if you believe in hell, though. Person makes a mildly edgy joke. Twitter. I diagnose you with homophobic. I diagnose you with homophobic after making a mildly edgy joke. It should be makes a wildly homophobic joke. People who are not homophobic. That's a bit homophobic. It was just a joke. Can't take a joke anymore. It's they just excuse away homophobia with joking if they don't actually want to face up to the fact that they're homophobic and discriminating against people who are not straight. Does anyone here know how I should punish my son for having a boyfriend? Oh, help. You could do this revolutionary thing of just letting him live his life because there's nothing wrong with having a boyfriend. Imagine going onto Facebook and asking people very openly, like, how confident must you be in your homophobia? How blinded must you be that being homophobia is an okay and acceptable thing to be, to post this publicly? There are 4 comments on this, and I really hope all of them are being like, stop it. To close the computer, switch off the phone for the night. Don't do this. While the world is going crazy over the whole pronouns thing. Oh, we've got a little potential transphobic one in here as a bonus for you. I've made mine easy for others to remember. I identify as a danger. My pronouns are try/me. They have one joke. This is literally just the attack helicopter joke, but someone's trying to be edgy with it. Ernie, by making sexist, racist, and homophobic jokes on the internet, you are part of normalizing it and inspire others to do the same. Bert, you're right, let's make more. Weren't Bert and Ernie gay? I don't think Bert would be saying that. Hello, person, just politely informing you why actually homophobia and making jokes about it is very bad, and the same goes for sexism and racism. It's really not something we should be joking about and normalizing as just being something to joke about and be mean about. And then the person's like, well, let me do it more. I'm not homophobic. I'm sexist towards your mental illness. What? What the hell is this? And this is where it's like things like Section 28 and criminalization of gay identities. And when was it that being gay stopped being seen as a mental disorder? It looks like in 1973. Something that has not been officially classified wrongly in that way for over 50 years now, that still has a lasting impact. Things like Section 28 still has an impact. It had a long-lasting impact. It had an impact on the kids who were at school. It took years for anybody to reach any kind of level of comfort. Even when it was allowed, the social stigma on it was still very present, and it takes a really, really long time for viewpoints to progress and society to progress after laws are changed. It's like when lies are said, it's so much quicker to put a lie out there and gain a following and trust in that lie than it is to show people that it's wrong. And you won't ever show everybody that ever believed that lie that it's wrong. Me, when a homophobic slur slips out, oh, another one. Oh dear, let me put 20p in the jar. The slur jar over there. Oh, silly Gary saying the T slur again, how dare. It's just so like, oh dear Ruby, oh little slur. If you're finding that slurs slip out, I feel like there's something else going on there. Like it's not just a slur slipping out. That's your beliefs bleeding through in a way that you know is wrong. It's like people know it's wrong to say, but will say it I don't understand. I feel like that requires unlearning. I can see why if you grew up with it being a really normal word to use, or like this bunch of slurs being really normal to just throw around, even if not aimed at the people that they're intended to be slurs against, but just as a kind of negative word that you throw around, it can take a while to get out of the habit of just reverting to that behavior. But it requires like effort, and not just like oops, let me make a meme about it. Like a cartoon drawing of buildings over the Hollywood sign, pride flags and brand names. Haha, why is the right so obsessed with LGBTQ? They bring it into everything. I mean, why are these not photos? That's either laziness or they couldn't find that many. And also, this just screams the whole homophobic cis straight guy sees one gay couple in an advert and suddenly thinks that cis straight people are not represented in adverts anymore. They just think it's everywhere because they're so used to not seeing it anywhere that now they're being like 10% representation. They feel flooded and overwhelmed because they're so used to zero. Free speech, stomping on a burning American flag. Hate speech, stomping on a burning pride flag. Well, I don't remember American being a protected characteristic. Oh yes, that marginalized group of people celebrate straight pride. Without it, none of us would be here. Are you sure none? Are you sure? Government, LGBTQ plus agenda, society. This looks like it's been taken from a naughty video. Yes, it is the government that is shoving whatever the LGBTQ plus agenda is down society's throats. Yeah, we know how much the government supports LGBTQ plus people, particularly trans people. Sure. Did you know this is the result of joining 4 pride flags together? I'm not gonna show the image, but somebody's taken 4 Progress pride flags, you know, the one with the chevron, twisted them in a way to create a certain symbol that has a rather bad history and is, yes, that is a very big stretch. I'd be surprised if the person making this didn't pull a muscle with this reach. It reminds me of that meme where somebody did like Pride Month and took out some letters and was like, ha, it says demon.
That makes pride demonic.
You go on believing that if you would like to, sure. And that was the last one for today. What did we think of the video? Did we like it? Don't forget to click the link in the description box to check out Squarespace. And yeah, think about giving the video a thumbs up and subscribing if you want to. Go let me know what you think in the comments down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Much love. Bye.
"1 a.m., Christmas morning. You're the hate group, Katie."
Known hate group, Katie. You know, I've been hearing very disturbing things about the folks down at Keeple for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. But Graham isn't just a transphobe who calls trans people slurs and tries to silence them. He's also a misogynist who routinely calls women slurs and tries to silence them. And then like a homophobe who routinely calls gay people slurs and tries to silence them, and a racist who does digital blackface and is a serial harasser and an online stalker. But worst of all, he's fucking cringe. Hello?
We're supposed to be recording a podcast right now, stupid.
I can't. I have people over and I'm busy talking shit about a piece of crap.
Okay, start recording then. That's our whole podcast.
But our podcast is about dead people and it's Graham Linehan. And while he's like definitely like decaying, he's not technically dead yet.
I mean, his marriage is.
No, okay. I'm cashing in my one alive transphobe ticket for this year then. Last year's was Joanne's legacy and this year can be Graham's career.
Yeah, and his marriage.
Okay, hold on. Let me put you on speakerphone.
Are you recording?
Yeah. Welcome back to Respect the Dead, the podcast where we don't.
Can we give it a special episode subtitle since he's not dead?
Yeah. Welcome back to Respect the Divorced, the podcast where he is and we're not, and that's like super funny.
Sweaty, it's no surprise. Sweaty, it's a matter of course that everyone celebrated your divorce, and now you lost it all in court. But don't you worry your melting head as you lay in your race car bed. Your career is totally dead. The worms in your brain making you go insane. Everything's going south 'cause you couldn't keep trans people out of your mouth. Just couldn't keep us out of your mouth. Just couldn't keep us out of your mouth.
First off, I'd like to say thank you to the sponsor of this video, Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve has 24/7 customer service, 90-day no-hassle returns, and discreet shipping. And with code Kaylin, that's me, you get 50% off one item and free shipping in the US and Canada, and free rush processing. Adam and Eve has everything you could ever hope to use to make your solo or partner time a little spicier. They've got something for every sex, gender, and possible partner pairing. By the way, I hope I'm allowed to use my own discount code because I have like 4 things in my cart right now that I know are gonna like change my life. Are you gonna use code Kaylin to buy something cute for yourself, Hoots?
Obviously.
Okay, cute. I love that for us.
Me too. Friends who share sex toys together. Wait, nope.
Well, not
us.
no. Yeah, not no, but not us. Okay, what do you know about this man? Because I've deliberately not shared any of the fucking ridiculous stuff that I've been adding into my notes.
I know that he was, I believe, the showrunner of a television show in the UK and Ireland.
Father Ted.
Yes, which I never watched, but it was a big deal. I know that he kind of looks like you took like a Shrek doll and like put it inside of a Cupid doll and like left it in the microwave for like on like 30 seconds on high for 30 seconds. Yeah. And I know that he has dedicated his entire life to transphobia. And because of that, his wife left him, and I believe his family, like none of his family will talk to him.
So I'm not sure about the last part. He has said they took my family. So I'm assuming that maybe the kids don't answer the phone when he calls, but like, who knows? I don't want to like talk too much about his children per se. So that's all correct. But it's so much worse than that. And like losing your entire family because you hate trans people should be like the most pathetic thing about you. But he's also terminally online, which is so much sadder when you're like, I don't know, 70 years old. Like,
yeah, I was about to say same, but like I'm allowed to be on Twitter because I'm 35.
Yeah. He should not be allowed on Twitter. Both
twice
because
my
he's
age.
too old
Go
and
back to Facebook.
too unhinged. Yeah.
Go back to Facebook where you belong.
Obviously, I'm going to get people commenting that I didn't mention a specific thing. But I obviously can't cover everything disgusting or terrible or misogynistic or perverted or cringe he's ever done because YouTube only lets you upload up to like 12-hour videos. So I figured I would just make a little slice of life and we'll focus on how he destroyed his own.
If you made me sit here for 12 hours and listen to you talk about this man, we would be doing an episode about the death of our motherfucking friendship.
And that would be fair. So we're gonna laser focus on why his peers, his agent, his family, and everyone else left him. We're digging into how being an angry, obsessed, anti-trans monster has cost him everything, and how I think that's kind of really cute. Not the anti-trans part, just the fact that like everybody
there are consequences for actions.
Yeah, oh my God, surprise. He loved sewing. Wait, reaping?
Not reaping.
No, he right.
He really doesn't
hated
like reaping. Loves sewing.
Big fan of sewing. So last week I read Graham's book. It's called Tough Crowd, How I Made and Lost a Career in Comedy, which details exactly that. And it's the cope right in the title. It was like Graham Linehan, I used to be successful. Like, well, his short-lived success and then eventual long-lived and seemingly permanent failure is like perfectly encapsulated in this book. And it's really funny because there's so many quotes where like he should realize how bad it makes him look, but it just, it doesn't because gender critical
No
people.
self-awareness.
No, literally none. Failing the mirror test. I bet if I put a mirror somewhere in his house that he didn't expect, if he walked past it, he would fucking slap it or something. He would run into it. If I painted like a
He would be like,
tunnel
oh
on
no, a
wall-
trans-identified male. They're in my walls.
They're in my walls. Okay, that is just a little bit terrifying because I don't want anybody in my walls. But if any trans people don't have a place to stay, and it has to be in my walls, you're more than welcome.
You're such an ally.
I know, thank you. So his book sort of reads like Elliot Rodgers' manifesto.
Oh no.
There's a lot of just bitter ramblings, a lot of telling stories that make him look objectively fucking nuts.
Yeah.
But he tells
no
them as if it makes him look good, or at least didn't need to be included, but he includes it anyways. And Elliot's was what, My Twisted World or something? Graham's is
My Twisted Marriage. How I made and lost my family and career and respect and cheese grater and Steam account because I couldn't stop talking about trans people for 3 seconds.
We'll get to him losing his cheese grater and Steam account in the divorce.
Oh, so those weren't just little bits that I thought you just I thought you were just garnishing the joke.
No.
Oh my God.
This man's life is so fucking sad.
Wait, a cheese grater?
Yeah.
I'll let you tell your story.
So his book, his memoir, his magnum opus, combining pre-sales and his opening week, sold 390 copies. For comparison, Sean Faye's transgender issue sold 4,000 copies in that same period. So not even the gender critical people are buying his book.
I'm pretty sure Raylo fanfics self-published on Amazon have had better sales in that period.
Well, the thing is, people care about Star Wars. Nobody cares about
true.
Graham.
Yeah, they're we're gonna retweet something hateful that you've said, but I don't want to read your words. I don't want to be sad.
I don't care about your sad life. Oh my God, I would love to buy your book. I would love to buy your book. The problem is I don't like being depressed. And in order for me to really connect with it, I would need to be capable of empathy. And as a gender critical person, I don't identify with empathy. No pronouns, no empathy.
I love that, this is a crowd that absolutely would and has purchased books,
yeah, but they don't read them.
They've never read a book. But
No,
this is
never.
absolutely the kind of crowd that purchases books just to be able to post pictures of it on social media and be like, look, I have the hateful literature. And even then, they wouldn't buy his book.
Yeah, that white supremacist arsonist who burned down those churches, who commented under J.K. Rowling's tweet and was like, thank you, ma'am. Now that I know you're not woke, I bought all your books for my kids. Arsonists love fucking Joanne Rowling. So prior to his days lumbering around Twitter, harassing feminists and LGBTQ plus people, he co-wrote 2 shows that garnered him his main fame at the time, Father Ted and the IT Crowd. I thought Father Ted was funny. I watched DVDs of it at my father's house, not named Ted, no relation. And I thought they were funny at the time. I will say he wasn't the only writer, but I was also 15.
Yeah, he was the showrunner, right? He came up with the idea, and he was probably the head of the writers' room.
I think it was according to the book, it felt like more of a partnership. Between him and someone else.
And one other person.
Yeah, and then he had someone who was more of a showrunner who was sort of being okay, we need to not do that, or I like that idea, but take it farther or whatever. Right. And he attributes, I don't remember this man's name, but he attributes quite a lot of the best decisions in the show to someone else.
Right.
So honestly, he could have been replaced with ChatGPT probably. And has been.
I will give credit where credit is due. A lot of people like Father Ted. So you did.
I do believe it was genuinely funny. There's just no reason for me to go back and rewatch it when there's every second trans person on Twitter has a way funnier account than anything that's ever happened in Father Ted. So Graham's the kind of person to hold a grudge, like a real grudge. As anyone who goes on his Twitter can clearly see, he will find one specific trans person and he will post about them at least once a day, if not every other day. Katie Montgomery gets the most from him. And she's the most chill, reasonable trans person on Twitter. She's so reserved in all of her takes, and I think that's part of what pisses him off so much.
That pisses him off.
Yeah, like I'll be like, shut your bobble-headed little mouth and get back in your cage. And he won't respond to me again after that. But Katie is like level-headed and has like cogent arguments and doesn't resort to insults.
She comes
and I
at him
think
with
that
good
pisses
faith.
him off.
Yeah.
And I think that's especially what pisses him off, because he realizes how bad it's making him look.
Right. It gets under his skin. Can I just say, holding a grudge, like, also not a very good quality for someone working in the arts to have.
We're gonna get to that. So, about his grudges. He is constantly going after women, particularly feminists, but anyone that just doesn't agree with gender critical ideology. Any woman who disagrees with him on trans people is pandering to men, which is like really funny, because if they were pandering to men, they would be supporting him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Funny
he just
that.
came for one of our best friends the other week, who was a
we're
cis
gonna talk
woman.
about that. She's in there. So he'll tweet about them, post about them on his Substack, make videos where he talks about them on his stupid YouTube channel. It's fan behavior, but like in a wear your face kind of way, not in a like fun kind of way. Like, I am absolutely convinced that if he was ever in a room with a trans person alone and there was like nobody would know what he did, he is a terrifying person. And I'm glad he lives, I don't know, in Ireland, away from me. Oh no, I think he lives in London now.
I'm just so glad that my face is too tiny and petite to ever fit on his face.
He would need so many faces. So given his love of beefing with people instead of going to therapy, it makes sense that all his vile obsessed behavior can be traced back to when he began to receive comments about his episode of the IT Crowd that revealed his anti-trans opinions. We're not going to get into it. I'm sure some YouTuber has done something about how the episode's transphobic or whatever. But basically, he got some like pretty mild feedback, like this reinforces some harmful tropes, but this man has the thinnest skin, like translucent. Like if I were to try and sell it and market it, I think I would have to include a disclaimer that it wasn't technically existing in 3 dimensions. Like
I can't believe like this is the villain origin story. Like, because like I believe that like I mean, again, I haven't seen the IT Crowd, but like early 2000s comedy, like I would say like
it's all transphobic.
20% of it at least was like there's always got to be like one character who like the main male character falls in love with or thinks is hot and then finds out that she's a woman who used to be a man, and like it's all just that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that there was like transphobic humor in one of his shows. There like but his villain origin story, his like interest in opposing trans activism is that some people were like, I didn't like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's all a grudge. He expects to be fucking worshipped. Like his whole book was about how fucking funny he is and how he'd be so successful if it weren't for the trans activists. And it's like, if he had just said, like, whoa, you're right, that episode didn't age well, that would have been that.
2013. And like, I don't think he started beefing with people on Twitter until at least like 2016.
He was beefing with other people, just not trans people. He was originally beefing with people that he, like coming down on the anti-Gamergate side originally.
Okay.
So he was like opposing Gamergate.
Right.
Which he's since retracted.
Yeah, because now he has to appeal to exactly those people.
Well, yeah, now he's like, I never really understood
that Zoe Quinn was a little slut. Zoe Quinn and her 5 guys and burgers and fries. That is so sad. You are a man in your 70s. Leave her alone. Get a job. Oh, you can't get a job.
Get a job. Stay away from her. So yeah, he claims the reason why he should not be criticized for this episode is because comedy should be able to punch down.
When people say comedy should punch up, They actually mean that it should operate along tribal lines, and they specifically mean along the lines that their tribe decrees. But comedy isn't tribal. Comedy is a mirror in which the whole of humanity is supposed to see itself. If you remove certain groups from comedy and criticism, you remove their humanity.
So I personally don't find humor that punches down that funny, because I think it's actually kind of cowardly. Like I think it's taking low-hanging fruit. I think it's very easy to make fun of people, but like that's just my personal tastes. I get that there are some people who think that there should be no kind of like limits to who you can make fun of. However, if that is going to be your position, you have to make your peace with people criticizing you and people making fun of you. Like, it's not comedy for me and not for thee. Like, you just have to make your peace with the fact that like some people are straight up not gonna like you.
Oh, in his book, he details all of the mean things that people have said to him on Twitter in a little list to show how like terrible trans activists are. And like 90% of it is hilarious and not anywhere close to as like vile as the things he does. Like posting like topless photos of young teenagers.
Jesus Christ.
I'm not going to add any names. I'm not going to link to anything. I'm not going to show the tweets because I don't post shirtless photos of children. That's just a personal line I've chosen.
This man should be in jail.
I agree with you. Like, I think some comedy that's punching down can be funny, but it needs to be funny.
Yeah.
Like, it's people on the right often laugh at things because they're punching down, as if punching down is the punchline.
Yeah. Like, haha,
that's not
you're
comedy.
gay.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, we do that a lot. But I mean, like, haha, you're gay. Which is like, it's like, listen, the reason I'm not laughing isn't because I'm offended. This is how I feel about Ricky Gervais's comedy a lot. Is like, the reason I'm not laughing isn't because I'm personally offended. I'm usually not within any of the like marginalized groups that Ricky Gervais is making fun of.
Yeah.
It's because I think it's lazy. Like, he's like, I want to identify as a chimp. And it's like, yeah, okay. You got that joke from like every 2016 like meme that every boomer uncle is posting on Facebook. We've heard it before. Get another one, Rick.
Like, I actually find a lot of offensive jokes funny. In fact, I think a lot of people that watch my stuff or listen to Respect the Dead know that. That we like to toe the line.
We offend people for money.
Yeah, all the time. But like, the difference is that the point of the joke is to make people laugh by making them think, by like subverting tropes and not like leaning into them. It's so lazy. It's terrible writing. And I mean, like, if he wants us to punch down, we can punch down. We're gonna do that in this episode just for him. Yeah. So basically, anyways, yeah, if we stop making jokes about Graham's horrible face and his wife leaving him, we're denying his humanity. And as people on the left, I refuse to deny the humanity of someone. To act like they're not people, which is why I always call women people exclusively, and we're no longer allowed to say the word women, which is why also the word women is being censored every time I say it right now. And if I don't poke fun at Graham getting his 23andMe results back as 30% Irish and 70% homunculus, I'm again dehumanizing him. So we just need to leave that in. So after the criticism of his punching down, he was like, what if I continue to do that, but more often, more publicly, and not to fictional characters, but to real people on the internet directly? And what if that becomes the only thing I ever do? Like JKKK Rowling, Graham is now known in LGBTQ+ circles not by his previous writings, but by his current and unhinged obsession with trans people and how unbearable it's made him to be around. Like Joannie, he also claims to be out there supporting the gays, the women, the children, and the real trans people like Debbie Hayton and Buck Angel and like, I don't have a third one yet. But he's just a protector. No, they hate Blair White. They're like, she's too pretty, it makes me sick. She looks like a sexy little sexy.
Really? I'm so surprised about that.
So he acts like he's a protector. This is his main thing. This is what he always says. Like, I'm standing up for women and girls or women and children, whatever. And he's the protector. He's not an aggressor. I don't know if you've seen his profile photo on Twitter, but if you open it up, it's a cartoon of him as a white knight holding a shield. And on the shield is the female symbol. This little cartoon.
First of all, honey, the term white knight is derogatory.
Yes.
Secondly, like what are you doing to white knight for actual women's rights?
Well, using women as a shield.
Using women as a shield.
For the first part.
Okay, fair. You know what?
Honestly,
I take it all back. I take it all back.
It's accurate. He
does use women as a shield.
Yeah. It's probably the most honest thing about his Twitter.
You're still in the fight.
So he explains that his father is who taught him to be such a strong, protective man.
My dad believed in chivalry. That's what he meant when he told me not to be like James Bond. Always respect women, always. Dad's chivalry was in his bones, and he never had to explain it any further, whereas I have had to come up with supporting arguments because I've been challenged by feminists on it. Like most things, chivalry as a code has sexist roots, but at least it's a code. I think men need a code. Call it something else if you like. But I see chivalry as just a basic level of respect for every woman that every man should hold. Our greater physical strength provides enough reason on its own. But if merely belonging to a group signs someone up to enduring intense pain for a week every month, then I think it's fair enough to have a tradition where we open doors for them.
I respect women, which is why I'm constantly having to shout over feminists. The lack of self-awareness. It's unbelievable.
He's like, sure, it's sexist, but at least I hold open the door. What? He's like,
okay.
Feminists told me to stop. But you know what? I'm gonna listen to my dad.
Anti-feminist men with the holding open the door thing. I don't know where this comes from. All of them are like, feminists hate it when you open a door for them. No one has any issues with holding a door open for anyone. No. Anyone who gets to the door first and sees that there's someone coming behind them should open the door for the person coming behind them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where this trope has come from, but it's like, it's ever present with any man who hates women. It's like, if I hold open the door for a woman, she's gonna castrate me personally. Bro, can everybody chill out? We just want the vote on abortions.
I believe that there have been times where a man has insisted that he be the one to open the door for a woman. And a woman has been like, I don't need you to do that, actually.
Right.
Like, please get out of my way. Like,
Anything's happened once. I believe it's happened before.
I don't believe it's ever happened because a man opened a door for a woman. I believe it's because a man probably was like, you don't need to open your own doors. Let me do that for you, little lady. She was like, well, that's really fucking patronizing. Like, I open the door for fucking everyone.
Yeah.
Like, it has nothing to do with anything but being polite and existing in a society and, like, showing some, like, care and community for the people around you.
Right.
So let's look at some of the ways he protects women. The ways he stands up for them.
I do love to be protected.
So in his book, he uses Gamergate as his, like, feminist street cred because when it was happening, he called the Nazis Nazis and he called the misogynists misogynists.
So I did my bit in the Gamergate wars because I was convinced the far right was using the issue to recruit and mobilize against my tribe. But while there certainly was recruitment going on and virulent misogyny abroad, not all of it was coming from the right. But that wasn't the full story. Despite my zealot certainty that it was, Only later did I realize that the same accounts who were shouting that the Nazis were coming were also shouting Nazi at lifelong left-wing feminist activists, journalists, and academics.
Which ones?
Like James Lindsay or whatever.
Which
Milo
ones,
Yiannopoulos. Name them.
Get queer activist Milo Yiannopoulos.
The extreme polarizing language used by the online left created a picture of the opposing side that I now suspect was only partially in focus. There certainly were some villains at the time, but I'm no longer confident I always knew who they were. Another narrative to which I had unconsciously signed up was that the right were evil and that they were using dog whistles to advance their cause, injecting anti-Semitism, racism, and other isms back into the discourse in the form of comedy. A Scottish YouTuber named Mark Meechan, or Count Dankula, who had filmed a video of his girlfriend's dog, which he trained to give a small Nazi salute every time he said phrases like "gas the Jews" and "Sig Heil," was arrested and charged, which I thought was an overreaction to a distasteful joke. But I had little sympathy for his plight, as I thought he was literally a Nazi. Sometime later, I sent a video apology to Meechan.
Dear Count Dankula, I'm sorry.
I now realize that neither you nor your girlfriend's dog are actually members of the National Socialist Party.
The way he introduces, like, Gamergate, people were going after my tribe. Like, he's trying to, introduce this idea of, like, sectarianism.
So can I tell you who his tribe was? The artists, the writers, the comedians. He talks in his book about how
oh my god, my tribe, the artists.
He's
You
so
make me
fucking
sick.
cringe. He wrote sitcoms.
My
Like, I'm
tribe.
sorry.
The poets.
The poets, like whoever wrote Friends.
Great works of art from the West. The painting of the Sistine Chapel, The Last Supper, Father Ted. Great writers from literature. Shakespeare, Emily Dickinson, the guy who wrote that transphobic episode of IT Crowd.
So, like, he still pretends he's a feminist standing against misogynists and the 4chan trolls, but, like, it's obviously clear from this, he's more aligned with them than not. Like, this is his tribe now. Can I also say I hate weird little white people being like, this is tribalism. These are tribes. Like, no. I prefer
sectarianism as a...
These are your mutuals on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, you're not a fucking tribe. Shut up. When Anita Sarkeesian tweeted, "Feminism is about equality, justice, and liberation. If you don't support the rights of trans people or access to abortion, or don't support efforts like Black Lives Matter or workers' rights, as just a few examples, you are not a feminist." Graham replied with,
"What's this male pandering shite? I didn't support you during Gamergate so you could give women's rights away to another group of men."
And, okay, so, like, this...
I love this conditional transactional.
Yes, and this is such a common fucking attitude. This is like, men who claim to be feminists are all on fucking thin ice with me because it is transactional, it is conditional, and it is like if you as a feminist recognize that your rights are fundamentally intertwined with the rights of other marginalized people, I can withdraw my conditional support for feminism, then, like, sorry, you were never a feminist to begin with. Shut the fuck up. Like,
he just wanted somebody to bully on Twitter and to get retweets for it. And that's the exact same person he is now. He's just realized that it's a lot easier to get away with bullying marginalized people. So, Anita, trans women are women, and he replies attacking her, which is a little bit hypocritical because he also likes to tweet things like,
"Lord, give me the confidence of white men telling women who is and isn't a woman."
I wonder who that's for.
When called out on this by people being like, babe, Graham, my little cracker, that's you. He replied,
citation, please.
Oh my God. I really hope that he was like, I'm not white, I'm Irish.
This isn't working. We're behind.
No,
Citation
the citation was, I don't even know what citation he could be asking for.
I'm not white, I'm Irish.
Oh, that's honestly the only thing, I guess. He's like, I'm actually half troll on my mother's side, so.
Okay, to be fair, he is marginalized for that.
He is like a walking jump scare. Like, I'd really like to follow him around for a day with a camera through like a crowded mall and just see how many people are like, yeah, how am I not a feminist? Citation, please. It's like, my source is your divorce papers, page 12, line 13, that you won't shut your little bobble-headed mouth. Straight gender critical men love having an excuse to attack feminists and LGBTQ plus people. Like, when
God, they do it
Jamila
so much.
I know. Nobody attacks women and queer people or like gay people more than gender critical people. And they do it with such condescension. The amount of times I've had like cishet men tell me that I'm homophobic. And I'm like, me. I'm homophobic. So when Jamila Jamil came out as queer in 2020, because she was the host, one of the hosts on Legendary. I don't know if you've ever seen this. Yeah, and most of the people on it, most of the judges were like queer Black people. But she did get pushback, both because she wasn't Black, but also because they were like, we're gonna let this like straight woman do this. And she was like, fuck off, fine, like I'll say it, I'm queer. Like, is that what you needed? You needed to out me?
I hate
in order
that.
for me.
I hate that we keep having to like fucking out celebrities or speculate about them.
Back in the day when there was no queer people on TV, there was no queer representation, and the like 2 roles every year went to straight people, not because they were the best for the job, but because straight people wouldn't go watch gay people playing gay.
Right.
Like when Philadelphia came out, it would have been super dope and nobody would have watched it if the actor was an out gay man, right? But like that's not the case anymore. There are so many amazing out queer actors, so many great roles written for queer people that we're just, I don't think we're at that point anymore.
Right.
And we're definitely not needing to out people. Like they forced Kit Connor to out himself.
Yeah.
In Heartstoppers, they forced the woman who wrote Love, Simon out of the closet. Like, so ridiculous. And the people doing this often are, I think, like younger online queer people, which I get where they're coming from. Like, I honestly do. I just don't think we're at that point anymore. And I think it's like a holdover.
I totally get wanting to have like queer people tell their own stories, especially when there's like a shortage of that kind of thing. As an actor in particular, I also like think that all actors should have a right to privacy. And like this isn't even about like outing people who are in the
You shouldn't have to
like,
come out for your job.
Yeah, actors shouldn't have to. Yeah, actors shouldn't have to say anything that goes on in their private lives if they don't want to. And I think like it's part of kind of like celebrity culture a little bit that you feel entitled to know who they are dating. Like,
yeah, Jamila came out, and like J.K. Rowling, Graham lives for the opportunity to speak over LGBTQ plus people. And he tweeted,
"How is Jamila Jamil not ashamed of herself? This is appropriation."
To which she said, "I'm a queer person, you're a twat. This is how we both identify."
Yes, bitch.
And he said,
"Lol, you're a straight tourist."
You don't get to say that because you actually are straight, Graham. You don't get to say shit like tourist. Fuck off. Oh my God.
Wild how
I hate this man.
fucking entitled and loud and privileged, and like the idea that he is ever standing up for anyone when all he does is speak over the groups he claims to be standing up for is so infuriating, and why there's an episode on this. Because I fucking hate it so much.
Why do you care? Because you clearly don't care about
Because he
queer
wants
people.
someone to bully.
Like, you are homophobic.
It's just an excuse to be homophobic, to attack women with the cover of being morally correct. Everyone who calls him out for his misogyny or homophobia or transphobia is a troll to him. And
Sorry, calling someone a troll when you look like you live under a bridge. It's like, that is a bold move.
No, I love it.
It's a bold
I actually
strategy.
love it. You think you could just say that? You think you could just say the T word because you're half troll on your father's side? He thinks that's intersectionality. His favorite slur to use against women is handmaiden, which is something I'm sure you've seen this, like handmaid of the patriarchy.
Yeah.
That's where it originally came from, which is like feminist. It was a term that like radical feminists used to describe women who were upholding the patriarchy and standing against the aims of feminism. But a man using it is a little fucking weird and incredibly misogynistic, because it's saying that women can't think for themselves.
And I honestly assumed that gender critical people used the term handmaiden because they'd all heard of The Handmaid's Tale for the first time when Hulu did a TV show about it.
That is what happened. No, that is what happened. So it's actually handmaiden. That's the original term, handmaiden of the patriarchy. But all the gender critical people say handmaid.
Say handmaid. Yeah.
And then they'll be like, yeah, they're the handmaid. Or really, they're Aunt Lydia. I'm like, that's not from The Handmaid's Tale, right? And you calling someone a handmaid is you being like, you're against feminism because you are imprisoned and raped and forcibly impregnated, you little bitch. And it's like, I don't... Did you have you even watched it? Because the handmaids are not the bad guys. The people attacking the handmaids are the bad. No.
Right. So no, I mean, I think I've only watched the first season. Not to be like a little gatekeepy, but I was a little salty that suddenly everybody was like, The Handmaid's Have you heard of this thing called The Handmaid's Tale in 2017? I was like, yeah?
Like 40 years ago?
Yeah. Have you heard of this? Have you heard of a little story? Kaylin, I don't know if you heard this. Called 1984.
I'm like, I've heard tells. I've seen it in tweets. I'm the wrong person to ask on this, and you know it.
This is just like The Handmaid's 1984.
So anytime a woman disagrees with him, he'll call them a handmaiden. If you search, like from @Glinner, because that's his Twitter handle for everyone, handmaid, and scroll, it's just a sea of him harassing women. Yeah.
Is it because handmaidens like yourself keep reporting her because of your worship of men in wigs?
He'll even occasionally lash out at J.K. Rowling, which is wild because usually she's like boot deep in his mouth. Like he's tweeting with like her full fucking boot in there. So he originally wanted to make...
Honestly, I don't say this about JKR a lot, but like, it's nice to get your boots licked clean every once in a while.
So she's, as far as I can tell, she's never actually acknowledged him, which is very funny.
That's so embarrassing.
I know. He's such a little simp for her.
That is really embarrassing.
But he lets his bitterness out sometimes. So like after the Father Ted musical deal fell through, because Graham was too vile to touch with a 10-mile pole,
I didn't know he wanted to do a musical. That's so embarrassing.
This was his big comeback. This was his big return.
Not everything should be a musical. Can we stop it? Not everything should be.
Yeah, no, nobody needs a Father Ted the musical. That's just write something new. So he was rage posting on his Substack about how he got an automated Christmas card from the would-be producer that had backed out. And at the end of this post...
Sorry, that's iconic on the producer's part. Just sending like a mass email to everyone you don't care about.
Yeah. This is the post.
Thanks, Sonia. Look who forgot to take me off her Christmas card list. Isn't this thoughtful? Sonia is one of the West End's biggest producers and was supposed to be doing the Father Ted musical. I get a Christmas card, but no musical, because Sonia agrees with J.K. Rowling, but not with me, or something. I guess I'd rather have my musical produced, but I guess we'll hash it out in court. Thanks also to J.K. Rowling for all the behind-the-scenes work she's been doing for me.
Which makes it sound like Joanne might have been helping him pay for like legal fees or whatever, because she does that sometimes. But no, the comment showed he was just being bitter on Maine. So someone responds with, "That's fantastic to hear that JKR is helping you out with the legal wrangling. Bon chance, Graham." And he responds,
"Sadly, I'm being sarcastic."
Why should she pay to have your fucking shitty, weird musical made?
Back to my comment about holding a grudge makes you a difficult person to work with when you're in the arts. I don't know the details of the Father Ted musical. This is the first time hearing of it. But like productions, especially musicals, because there's an enormous amount of overhead on them, are very difficult to get funding for, even if you have like big celebrities attached.
Oh, it would have
big
happened if he
properties
wasn't
attached.
anti-trans.
Would it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, 100%.
So she pulled out because he's anti-trans.
Yeah, like, but anti-trans and untouchable. Like, I think she supported Joanne's right to free speech or whatever, but
Right.
Graham is on Twitter, like, stalking and harassing people. Like, it's, like, if you
So she
scroll
was like,
through
"This
his
is
feed,
this is a liability. I can no longer be part of this project."
100%. Like
Okay.
attaching and like you said, there's a lot of money, there's a lot of moving parts. You need to get a lot of things involved and approved.
Things fall through for any reason.
Yeah, especially with investors.
Mm-hmm.
One quick look at that, they decide, oh, I should look at the person who's making. What's Graham up to?
Right, and people.
And then they
pull
go
out.
to his and then people go to his page, and it's photos of
and posting
shirtless children.
Posting to your Substack about how angry you are about it is one way to ensure that nothing you ever do will get funded again.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing you're mad about is that she sent you a Christmas card.
In the darkest streets where sunlight dies, a huge gross monster called the Glinner. Eyes, a melted eye drips down his cheek. He lurks in alleys, rotting in meat. His teeth bright as piss, his breath foul and rank. He cries in the darkness like God's cruelest prank. The Glinner, he'll make you his dinner. In the dead of night, beware, dear girl, stay out of sight and save yourself from the Glinner's bite. The Glinner, he'll make you his dinner. The Glinner, he'll make you his dinner. He fears the water and the salt fried gleam. Purity burns and he can't get clean. He roams the darkness forever alone. His mournful cries take a chilling tone. In the dead of night, beware your gaze, stay out of sight, and save yourself from the Glinner's bite. Listen closely to the Glinner's wail, for in his heart there's a sorrowful tale. He longs for his family, lost long ago, lost to his obsession with trans people.
So after all this, he still blames trans people for literally everything that's ever happened to him. Taking his family from
Possibly
him.
be my fault.
I'm gonna send you a video in a second, which is one of my favorites.
He's so Elliot Rodger coded.
Yeah, no, this is full incel.
Yeah.
It's trans activists' fault, and trans activists are trans people, handmaidens, and the majority of gays and lesbians and bisexuals. If you look at every polling, like the people who support trans people, predominantly women. And then if you look like within, well, not like LGBT people, because obviously trans people support trans people. But if you look like in like LGBT people, it's lesbians who are the highest supporters of trans people. So,
well, what you need to understand, Kaylin, is all of those people that you just mentioned are tourists.
Oh, right. Right.
Those lesbians are just taking a nice long vacation in Pussy Town because of the trans activists.
Yeah, they're scissoring as trans activism. They're dedicating their entire lives to
political scissoring.
Okay, that's so based. Maybe I do like political lesbianism now. It's just some of the worst political lesbians are like rabid TERFs, like Julie Bindel.
Yeah.
That it's like the kind of people who are like, you can't just decide to identify as a woman. And I'm like, why not? You decided to identify as a lesbian.
Yeah.
So obviously, his family has no agency. This is all trans people's fault. Every entitled, hateful, ugly-hearted man thinks it's someone else's fault that he lost everything. Yeah. And often, that's not the case. We all have like some part to play in like the dissolution of friendships and relationships. And to anyone that tells you that they are blameless is lying, or like to you or themselves or both.
Men who wake up and murder their entire families think this way too.
Oh, 100%. Nothing's ever their fault. And especially like men on the right. Like, I don't have a job because of immigrants. Like, no matter what it is, it's always somebody else's fault. He swings back and forth between licking the ground Joanne walks on and being bitter she isn't grateful for his manly protection. And sidebar, here are my 2 favorite quotes from him about Joanne. J.K. Rowling's socialist credentials are impeccable.
What does he think socialism means?
Billionaire. Billionaire who aligns herself with Nazis is a socialist. I can't even deal with that. The next one's so much funnier. We need to get to it. This is the one I've been waiting for you to hear for like a week.
Oh my God.
People make a big deal out of Harry Potter turning on her, but every single character in that series came from her head. She is Harry. She's not just Harry, she's Hermione and Ralph.
Everyone's favorite Harry Potter character, Ralph. You remember Ralph from Harry Potter?
Ralph!
I love to be going to Universal Studios Hollywood and getting my picture taken with Harry, Hermione, and Ralph.
Ralph! Hashtag I stand with J.K. Rowling.
Hashtag I stand with... Oh.
I didn't add the hashtag, that's actually there. Ralph!
And Ralph. Hashtag I stand with J.K. Rowling. Oh my God, he is such a fucking embarrassing lolcow.
I know. Okay, I'm about to send you, or I am sending you a video. This video has gone around a lot. This is Graham explaining what happened to his family.
Okay, I can't wait to watch it.
You say you're gonna, you decided to fight this, but it must feel like a lonely place and it must hurt and it must mess you up.
Yeah. They took everything from me,
Like what? What do you mean?
They took my family.
That's the wrong outcome, BND. Rendezvous with exfiltration team.
Before this, all I was doing was, writing comedy and playing board games and being silly on the internet. And then I just said, no, hang on a sec. Stop calling these women TERFs. Stop sending them abuse. Let them speak. And for that, they just destroyed me.
Do you honestly feel destroyed?
No, because the one thing about this that keeps me going is that I know I'm right. You know, I know I'm right.
Okay, a few things here. I haven't watched this. I've intentionally avoided watching this video, but it's passed around a lot, and I've seen like lots of people dunking on him, saying like they took everything from me. That part actually, now that I've actually seen it, it doesn't like inspire mirth in me. It doesn't inspire joy in me. I feel like I'm watching someone who is incredibly deluded, like someone who is like not mentally well, and has like been so like indoctrinated into this like online cult that like his grasp of reality is not is not as strong as it should be. And I know I'm right every single time thing. He just keeps reiterating the fact that he knows that he's right. And I feel like that's very telling about specifically like this, not just like a gender critical person, but like this kind of conservative man is very like, I'm right, progress is wrong, everyone around me is wrong, and I just need to keep digging my heels in and kind of like bullishly imposing my will on the marginalized people around me because I know what's best.
Yeah,
but
I know
always
what's best for them. There are times where I think that one small clip of "they took my family" is like just that sound bite. I find that funny because like sometimes when my cat leaves the room to go get his food, I just mumble that to myself. I'm like, he's gone. They took everything from me. They took my family. He is so, like you hit it perfectly. He's so delulu. He, like most gender critical people, and for anyone that's like new to me and this channel, check out my gender critical series. I spent like, I think 8 months undercover. They're gender critical Facebook groups. They're private ones before I had like released my full 3-part series. But there's a big thing in there of gender critical people talking about how they lost their families because they can't shut the fuck up about trans people, like at the dinner table, at meetings, at work. Like they'll be like at the playground with their kids on the swing or whatever, and none of the other parents will talk to them. Because the last time they tried, they were like, oh, it's so nice to see kids playing like on a play structure instead of getting their healthy breast tissue removed. Like, it is an obsession. It is an obsession that is ruining their life. It is an addiction. But they all believe, and they have to believe this in order to keep going on, that there will be a day of reckoning. There will be one final big thing that happens where the truth is finally revealed, that they were right all along, and everybody will come back and have to apologize, that all the ex-wives and the ex-husbands will eventually return, and the children that don't talk to them anymore because they forced them into conversion therapy will come back and say, I can tell that you were right all along and I'm sorry. But that's never going to happen.
Right.
That's just, it's never going to happen. Your family is not coming back. At the very best, your children, in an attempt to find some like peace in their life, might like, I don't know, decide no contact isn't necessary and agree to like send you a text message on Christmas or whatever or come home for Christmas because they want to see their sister or something and it's worth it to them as long as you agree to stop talking about trans stuff or like stuff like that happens. But it is very, very rare that someone goes like full no contact with their anti-trans family member and then shows back up, according to the groups. The blaming other people, the thinking that people are going to come back, it's never, one of the reasons it's never going to happen is because they don't change. And when they do change, they get worse. They get like farther and farther into it. Like we've all seen Joanne's fucking slide down the alt-right pipeline from I'd march with you if you were discriminated against, which I still think is like, which is completely backhanded and intentionally fucking hateful.
If you were discriminated against.
Yeah, no trans person has
Luckily,
ever been
you're not.
discriminated against.
Yeah. The most privileged category of person. Trans.
But like, they never stop talking about it and it becomes their entire world. So let me give you a quote from Graham explaining the final nail in the coffin of the Father Ted musical.
The final scene in the terrible downward spiraling drama that was the end of the musical was a meeting with Jimmy in the Hattrick offices. He made me travel from Norwich to London, so, like a sap, I presumed it would be good news, a plan on how we were to move forward, while I carried on raising my voice on a crucially important issue. But no, there were dirty looks from Hattrick employees I had known and worked with for years, and when we finally sat across from each other, Jimmy and a lawyer from Hattrick on one side and my agent and I on the other, Jimmy told me I was to remove my name from Father Ted the musical, or he would not make the show. I'd never experienced anything like the coldness and contempt with which I was treated at that meeting. Once again, I asked what I was being accused of. Jimmy rolled his eyes as if it was self-evident. Once again, at this final meeting, desperately, I tried to explain what was happening to women's rights and to the young girls mutilating themselves because of I don't care, Jimmy shouted.
And that was the end.
Good.
Yeah. The idea that you're going to be sitting in your meeting for a musical that you're trying to get made, and they're like, we need you to take your name off because you won't stop talking about trans people, and being like, but the healthy breast tissue.
Yeah.
Why are you talking about breasts at your business meeting?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
You are impossible to work with.
Yeah.
Like,
You're
it
toxic.
it would be just as weird. Well, not just as weird, but I mean, the outcome would probably be the same if you were like this foaming at the mouth about like a sports team or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
When it's all you ever talk about ever, and when you get into like very public arguments with people in the press, yeah, they're gonna ask you to remove
And in
your
the
name.
industry?
Yeah.
Like
it's
nobody
it's
wants to work with
everything.
someone who's difficult to work with in any regard. That's just a universal truth. Nobody wants to work with someone who makes them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about trans people. They want to talk about work.
Yeah, that's why
Like,
Jimmy said, I don't care.
Yeah. And obviously Graham portrays it as like he doesn't care about women and girls or whatever, but like, and maybe Jimmy doesn't. But that also has nothing to do with Father Ted the musical.
Yeah, I would bet
which
Jimmy
I might add
doesn't care.
I don't
bet
think
he doesn't care
Jimmy-
about trans rights or women's rights. He's just trying
Yeah.
to produce a fucking musical.
Yeah, this is the thing. They still wanted to pay him. They were going to pay him $200,000 to get this musical made. And at this point, he's fucking destitute. But he refuses it anyways.
So
out
what
of
I'm
principle.
hearing is trans activists did not take his career. He still had a career and refused it.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. It's wild. This is why I'm saying, like, it's one thing to be like, trans activists took my career because they boycotted me and that got something shut down or whatever. But it's like, no, they were still willing to give him $200,000, which is like what the average trans person makes in like 200,000 years. But no.
I rejected the deal. I was prepared to betray myself for £200,000, but I couldn't abandon my daughter.
Nobody asked you to. And in fact, I believe you don't have custody. So we don't need to worry about that, Queen. I think like 2 years after that, He also lost his agent because he called David Tennant a groomer on Twitter.
Jesus Christ.
For wearing a pin or a shirt.
Yeah.
No, I believe it was a pin that said like support trans kids or something. David Tennant has the same agent. Or sorry, Graham had the same agent as David Tennant. And let's be real, who are you gonna choose? A father, respected, husband, respected, artist and celebrity, respected, or like a sad little man who lives in a, no offense, but studio apartment somewhere, seething over trans people.
Please join my Patreon so that I don't have to live in a studio apartment like Graham Linehan.
Yes, if you want to support women, the way to do it is by signing up for the Respect the Dead Patreon account.
It will be in the description.
Not my Patreon, which is attached to my channel, the Respect the Dead one, because Hoots was nice enough to let me do another transphobe that was alive because I got angry. And she's an ally.
I am an ally. A handmaid, one would say.
So his retelling of events is always dangerously wrong, but luckily nobody read his book. So like, that's fine.
There were
It's like,
300 purchases, and like of those, I think you were the person who read it.
Oh yeah. I don't think
It was you.
I don't think most people read it. And oh my God, I started with the audiobook. I think I told you this. I made it like halfway and I was like, I cannot listen to his whiny little divorced voice.
For such a
I ended
big
up having
man,
to read
he's such a nasally small voice.
All the angry,
He sounds like me.
Gender critical. All the angry gender critical people sound like Muppets. Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, like all of the men, they sound like fucking Muppets.
They need voice training.
That's true.
If they could just make friends with a few trans people, they could really hook them up.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not gonna happen. It's just like when like really homophobic people appear on television and you're like, oh, you know that stylist fucked her up good on purpose.
Yeah.
I think the quote you're about to hear is the best summation of the way that he lies about what happened and about what's happening.
Both sides is a poisonous smear. No one on my side of the argument insists that people should be shunned by polite society.
Can I just point out that he retweets Lives of TikTok?
I was about to say, then who the fuck is Kaya Rychik?
Yeah.
Be banned from speaking and have their livelihood destroyed. We disagree with trans rights activists. That's it. Whenever you see an anonymous Twitter account belonging to a TERF, check their timeline. You won't find any abuse. You'll hardly find any bad language.
Like, this is what you do every week.
This is what they do.
Yeah. This is
The
what
bomb
you
threats?
personally do, Graham.
Yeah, 100%. Nobody is more against actual free speech than gender critical people.
Yeah.
Like, somebody refers to a woman as a human being, as a person, and they fucking shit themselves. Like, you just erased that saying trans woman erases their speech, erases the existence of women altogether. Like, they're gonna blip out of existence because
They really don't know how adjectives work. Or pronouns.
Yeah, they were rapidly running out of like.
They really need to just go back to English class.
Yeah, for all of them being like, I remember grade 1 biology. And I'm like, do you remember grade 1 English?
Yeah.
And also, did we ever make it past that? Or are we comfy here? Are we settling in? But also, like, I'm sorry, go to a TERF account, check their timeline, you won't find any abuse. I've had TERFs call me a faggot, tell me I need to be shut up permanently, say I deserved the violent homophobic hate crime I went through, question it, say that it would have been better off if they'd killed me. I've had them say I enjoyed being raped because they assumed I was a trans woman, which meant that I would enjoy being subjugated by a man because it would make me feel like a woman. And the only people that men ever sexually assault are women, of course. tell me to kill myself, say I should be castrated, eradicated. The amount of times that I have been called at least like 12 different slurs in the past couple weeks on Twitter alone for saying that like J.K. Rowling was a terrible person and a shit writer is astronomical. And I can guarantee I have been called more hateful things than Graham Linehan ever will, because the things that they're saying about me are just slurs. They're not true. Like, you're divorced. Like, Graham is out there calling gay men groomers every single fucking week. But that's not abuse, because it's just true. Gay people are inherently predatory groomers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not abuse because it's true. And his side, it's always like side, like we were talking about earlier, like, it's like, well, my side doesn't do any of the bad stuff. It's only the people on the left doing the bad stuff.
But his side are the ones calling in bomb threats to elementary schools.
His side are the ones denying Nazi crimes, that have Nazis show up at their rallies. He even had some quote in his book that was like, I'm confident now that I know what I would have done in like Nazi Germany. I know I would have been on the right side. And I'm like,
a Nazi.
The Reich side, maybe. Like,
I think we all know what you would have done in Nazi Germany, Graham. I don't think that is a question that anyone is asking.
No, because we see it right now. So in his book, he leaves out every instance of his obsessed, deranged harassment and online stalking of trans people, women, gays, feminists, people of color, and instead lists off a bunch of mean things people have said to him in order to garner sympathy.
Of course.
And we're gonna hear some of them now because they're really funny and true.
I can't wait.
I'm regularly called a Nazi sympathizer, Holocaust denier, COVID denier, and climate change denier.
Why?
Are there things in that list that you haven't denied?
Yeah, I've never done any of that, and I've never been called any of that, actually. I've actually never been called to any of those things. Because I've never done any of those things.
Yeah.
And that's not to say you only get called online about the things that you do, but like I get called homophobic and transphobic slurs, and he gets called a Holocaust denier.
Yeah.
Someone takes a photo of me sitting outside a cafe, posts it on Christmas Day, and tells people I'm there at Christmas because I've lost my family.
It's so funny.
It's so good.
Oh, the cheese grater thing. So the photo, somebody saw him at a Tesco or whatever, and he was buying everything to make carbonara, but like probably like about like one serving. And he even had to get the pan and the cheese grater. So that's how it's circulated.
His wife took the cooking tool.
Yeah, his wife took the cheese grater in the divorce. And the Steam account, somebody realized that they had been friends on Steam with him and saw that the games that he was playing for like babies and called him out. And he was like, actually, like, oh, like that's on the computer in like my home. And I don't have a home anymore because my wife took it. So that must be my son. But good job making fun of the games my son plays.
Those are baby games for the baby I'm no longer allowed to see.
I think it was like a pretty violent baby game though. Like I think it was kind of fucked up. I don't remember what the game was. I'll probably add it into the edit, but I do think it was like kind of weird.
Trans activists tweet about dancing and pissing on my grave, adding that my ex-wife and children will piss on my grave too.
Here at Respect the Dead.
That might have been us, first of all.
Okay, you know what? I'll own that one. This one's Kalen's.
Also, like, just going back to Elliot Rodger, you don't have to put this in the book. You don't have to tell us.
Yeah, you don't need to tell us that somebody said that you were divorced, so you went into your room and cried and thrashed it about and started stabbing the wall with your practice sword or whatever the fuck. Like, this one's really funny.
When the feminist YouTuber, Magdalene Burns, is dying of a brain tumor at the age of just 36, my visit to her is surrounded by so much vicious gossip that I have to interrupt the family's grieving to ask them to release a statement refuting it.
Sorry, like, vicious, usually when, like, people say vicious gossip, they mean, like, tabloids. But this is just, like, people on Twitter.
Yeah.
You did not have to ask the family to release a statement to Twitter. And actually, like, obviously I'm no Magdalene Burns fan, but that's like a really fucked up thing to ask her grieving family to do. Could you please release a statement to my Twitter haters?
Check your targets.
No!
Getting up in the middle of the funeral and being like, hey, so, I know this is a little bit awkward, but I think we need to focus on me just for a little smidge. Which, like, if anyone else,
a co-tweet if you want to. We can do a co-tweet if you want to. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to say something because people are being really mean to me on Twitter. I've been reading all of the tweets about me during the funeral.
Capture the objective.
Like that's a fucking wild.
Yeah,
were you raised in a barn?
Again, like unhinged, delusions of grandeur, like thinks that all of this is like way more, like thinks that his Twitter beefs are way more important. Like,
oh yeah.
He's treating them like significant cultural events.
It's like Magdalene would have wanted you to say that I was a feminist.
You are not missing Princess Kate Middleton. You know, you don't have to release a statement because Twitter is losing its mind. Nobody cares about you.
All of this would have been solved by him logging the fuck off. And getting a giant troll fist full of grass. Taking a walk in the sun.
Calling your name.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Walk out from under the bridge.
Your big ugly face.
Take that face out for a walk. Pick up your spirits in your right eye, and let's go have a moment where we're not online. And I need to do this too. Me too. 100%.
Yeah.
Maybe
the fact
we'll
that
all
I even know who Graham Linehan is.
No, I know.
The fact that I know who Graham Linehan is a sign that I need to go outside. Because I will tell you right now, if I were to walk out that fucking door and I were to go ask someone, just like the first person I come across, have you heard of Graham Linehan? They would be like, please get away from me. I'm calling the police.
Losing Bravo.
If they have heard of him, you'd get somebody would probably spit in your face. And
there might be one person who like has BBC America on cable who is like, you mean the Father Ted guy?
Why did he die?
Well, we are doing an episode of our podcast about him. Wouldn't it be so funny? You can cut this out if you want. Wouldn't it be so funny if he like died during the editing process and we had to meet again?
I don't even know that we would. I think I would just put a little thing at the beginning of the video.
Epilogue.
I'd still release it with the fucking puppet and everything. I think I would tack on a little funeral scene where we remade the funeral scene in Death Becomes Her with the two of us and him in a little puppet coffin.
Multiple enemy spy plane contacts.
Okay, so I need to find a 3D model of a child's coffin. Don't ask me why. Okay, so we're still back into his lowlights. His son once came into the room to give him a birthday present, but he was busy live streaming with a bunch of TERFs, complaining about how privileged the people they attack and denigrate are. And homeboy was like, not now, bitch, daddy's streaming.
Oh my God, it's literally that meme from The Sims where it's like the girl on the computer and her baby's on fire. Not now, honey. Daddy's being a transphobe. Daddy's doing some transphobia.
I sent you the link to the video.
The most kind of right-on show in the UK at the moment is Doctor Who, right? Sorry? Oh, yeah, that's good. My son chooses now to give me my present.
holds up a book and he goes. That really will have destroyed what I was about to. Yeah, no, I know what it is. Okay, Doctor Who, the wokest show on TV.
Yeah, again, this just like makes me a little sad.
It's sad.
It's like you think that trans activists took your family from you, but you weren't paying attention to your family because you were so like you were so involved in this gender critical cult, and they left. They left because you never had time to spend with your family. Your son is trying to bring you a birthday gift.
Can you imagine? I would remember that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like,
you know, he
that
was
is,
sitting
like,
in the
a
other
core
room
moment.
for hours
Waiting.
and was like, and
Yeah.
eventually mom was like, why don't you just go give it to him now? Like, go tell him it's time to come out.
Mom, when can I give it to him?
Yeah.
And it's
Go
like,
tell him
he's
it's time to
almost
come out and do
done.
the cake. Like, he's been in there for 4.5 hours. Like, and then he's gonna fight with people on Twitter for another 6 hours. He's gonna be on his phone the entire time. He was never there for his family.
It's very clear. Maybe in the early years, but clearly the second he got on Twitter,
Yeah.
worm brains. So here's him talking about how he never bothered to do a party for his wife for her birthday. And that's also trans people's fault.
Helen was also looking for normality. Birthdays came and went, and they weren't fun occasions. They were overshadowed and fraught. On the day I threw a rare birthday party for her, the magazine Vogue published an article by its trans columnist, Paris Lees, attacking me directly. This was the glossiest publication to denounce me to date, so it lay somewhat heavy on my mind throughout the evening. Helen was perfectly within her rights to ask me to cease operations, but I couldn't do so for another reason, which is, and this is something that everyone who's in this fight knows, the gender Stasi never forgive. Helen didn't understand that I would never be confident of having a job again until the entire gender ideology movement, which has caused so much misery, was burnt to ashes. People would sometimes ask, what's your end game? And that was it. I wanted to reveal the havoc gender identity had wrought on society, expose those who had enabled it, and help bring about its end.
Sorry, honey, I can't enjoy your birthday today. I can't enjoy a birthday ever again until we've burnt transgender ideology to the ground. Like, he's jumping through so many hoops to try to just
taught me one thing. It was that sometimes celebrities and creators need to sit.
I would not recognize this person, but this person is this person. It's Shannon Blake. She's back. I don't know if she's ever left. I need to explore two things very definitely. One, how did we go from this to this? And then two, I really need to figure out why we don't love Shannon Blake. Because, well, maybe it's not we, it's definitely me. I don't. And also, if you don't know who Shannon Blake is,
A little bit of ice, a little bit of strong.
we know, Shannon. We know you did.
Did that tree just talk or was it
We would have eaten this up summer 2019. I feel like there's a world that this is true. Was it for me? Maybe not. It would have happened though. They should play this at Dare Assembly. Is this on Spotify? So I know not to run into it. I literally feel your energy through this. I'm still navigating being awakened. I need guidance. The eagle screech in the song is sending me. They really added an eagle screech.
chilling in the mountains of Peru?
Bro, you know they were in the studio like, that's beautiful.
Threat neutralized.
Should we add two? The Doja Cat accent.
I'm well aware that I attract what I allow in. I am a vibration, people can tune in. I broadcast, I am love, I am abundance.
It took me so long to realize that she's in a motorized vehicle. I cannot picture Shannon Blake driving a motor vehicle. I just assumed that she either levitates everywhere or she's carried around like Amy Carlson. Can you imagine just being on your way to work and you look over and there's just this woman enshrouded in moss with dream catchers in the car?
Energy vampires can suck you dry. That's why I keep my circle small. That's why I keep my circle tight. I learn my lessons always. Just
Oh, that's her daughter. I don't even want to get into that.
Fresh, never frozen, dietitian approved meals right at your doorstep. You already know what it is, baby. It's Factor!
Did you guys add an explosion?
Factor! With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore.
Do you want to crush your wellness goals this May without having to think twice about it?
Guess what? You only have to think once. Which meal am I picking today?
It's that easy.
So grab your tiny fork and heat up a Factor.
Listen, I'm a tiny fork person.
Do you want a well-balanced meal? Do you want calorie smart? Do you want vegetarian? You can have it. You can have it all. Well, you can have it all with Chef's Choice, but when you place your Factor order, you just have to select what type of meals you want to receive that week. And here's the best part. You can switch it up week over week. I told you, 35 different meals and flavors for you to try. And don't forget, when you want to get a little gourmet, they've got Surf and Surf, that's the salmon and shrimp. And of course, the Surf and Turf, that's the shrimp and fillet. You even get premium produce if you want it. Like broccoli, not just broccoli. I do love broccoli, but broccoli if you want it. Listen, with Factor, you can have whatever you want, and it's easy. And how do you get it? There's a couple ways. First of all, you can scan the QR code, or you can go to factor75.com and use the code BOWS50. Why would you use the code? For the discount! Use code BOWS50 to get 50% off of your first Factor box, and then 20% off of your next month of orders. Scan the code, or go to factor75.com and use my code BOWS50. Thanks, Factor. Love you. Dude, this one. Holy, bro.
I've been chilling in the mountains of Peru, drinking ayahuasca with the shaman stew. Got the champagne for the shift the mood. I've been learning about myself, finding out my truth.
I don't know how people trip with Shannon Blake, because you know they are. Because if I saw her while I was tripping, I would be scared, okay? Like, I would be fearful. This would scare me. Is this not all the scary stuff that you don't want to see when you're tripping? Like, imagine you're like an hour deep into it, and then Shannon just comes in the fucking room. There's too much going on. I have to see the Shannon Blake house tour, but before we get to that, I feel like this is just the direct result of running away from all of your problems and taking a bunch of psychedelics because it feels good. You go into a completely other world where nothing that just happened matters.
Spiritual psychosis is a real thing, and it's very concerning for any person who believes they have any special abilities or mental powers that other people cannot perceive or cannot understand.
Dude, she's so right, because it feels good to say, like, I'm above this doesn't hurt me, and it gives you like some strength, right? And also when it comes from a spiritual place, you feel like you're not alone in it. But that's a probably good way of thinking, maybe 50 to 60% of the time. But 100%, you're gone, bro. You're gone. You're in another dimension. And I think that's also another reason why Shannon comes off as like kind of peculiar to a lot of people, because she's somewhere else. Like, you cannot touch her. She is in her own world of protection.
Neglecting something as serious as a kidney infection and thinking that you mentally can shift your own DNA to heal something like that, and then putting it on a platform where people follow and look up to you, and more or less indirectly encouraging other people to adopt that belief system. And because it's spiritual psychosis, a lot of people will neglect or refuse to get psychiatric care because they believe what they are experiencing is spiritual in nature.
And that nobody else understands. They think the hospitals don't understand, their family doesn't understand, and like they fully believe that they are enlightened, all powerful, all knowing. Oh my, and like, bro, this shit is kind of scary. And I feel like with people like this, it escalates and escalates and escalates until they have some kind of undeniable break.
but sometimes even then they're like, oh, that's a fluke.
One of the worst effects that I personally have seen from witnessing people in spiritual psychosis is the loss of personal autonomy, as in like your own ability to decision make, because you are seeking out psychics, mediums, tarot cards, signs from the universe, and things like that. And a lot of people,
and a lot of times when you're seeking out that kind of stuff in your law, sometimes people are just seeking out some kind of like confirmation bias. They want to completely like believe something that they want to be true. It's so interesting too, because we've talked about a lot of spiritual psychosis cases on Sinister. We talked about it with Jacqueline Audis. It's extremely common, but sometimes it's a drug-induced psychosis. The other thing is too, and I'm not talking specifically about Shannon Blake in this moment, but the other thing about spiritual psychosis is like, it can be really like traumatic for kids or family members that see somebody going through that, but especially for the kids, because they don't understand why this is happening. Like it's really, and it takes a long time to undo like, whoa, that was not normal. Like mom or dad, they were not normal.
a lot of people think that they are receiving, you know, spiritual guidance, when in reality they are no longer able to make healthy choices for themselves.
There's a lot of speculation online around whether Shannon Blake is like a trust fund baby or something. And the truth is, I don't care. For me personally, I'm like, I don't know why that matters. I wasn't a trust fund kid. We were poor as shit. Are you kidding me? I remember eating half a peanut butter sandwich on the floor, walking around looking for something to crack open some Brazilian nuts I found under the cabinet just because I was still hungry. We were poor. But I don't care if somebody's trust fund or not. Regardless, it seems like Shannon has paid her way and has her own money now. Here's where Shannon lives.
All right, we are at Shannon's house. Here in the woods.
Of course
They're dominating us. Go on the offensive.
Lord help me. I feel like this is some culture vulture shit. What are we wearing? What are we wearing?
This is the random guy that just lives in Fierce Mallows.
I know that's a joke, but of course Shannon has champions. Of course.
We got the couch.
Bro, I'm not somebody that tries to police what people are wearing. I pretty much think it's whatever, but there's something about what she's wearing, a combination of like rave wear with something that's feeling real ceremonial, okay? Like in a lot of cultures, there's certain things, and I don't know the specifics of it, but when I'm looking at this, I'm like, that feels like somebody is supposed to wear it in like a high honor or something, like the long skirt, and it's just kind of awkward to look at because it feels like she's wearing a costume. Bro, this is another thing that I don't get. Y'all know those videos where it's like POV, I'm your trip sitter.
Oh, you're tripping now? Yeah, that's fine. I can look after you, 100%. Yeah, sure. Dude, we're gonna have such a nice time. Like, everything's gonna be nice and chilled and relaxed. Dude, let's just calm you down, okay? Let's just put something on the TV. Help us. You're coming. You're next.
These are all terrible things that I would not want to see during a trip. Like, these are terrifying. The eyes, the figures hidden in shroud.
This one is so epic.
The big penis cactus in the middle, the snake heads, and the toads looking over. Who painted this? This is so scary.
You should deck this out. I can see a teepee back here.
Dude, it's kind of scary that they're just like plotting to go deeper into the drugs. Like there's no way. What? Oh my God. This is giving me anxiety. If I were to even look at a mushroom, I would just start sneezing. Like, get that away from me. I've known several people that are like trip or like microdose or something like that, right? But this feels like full-on binges, if not every day, every couple of days. Like, do you want to go outside in the backyard and have a spiritual awakening?
You don't have to wipe your own ass.
Oscillate, make a pose. You got pressure, you got the vision, dryer.
A dryer, no. Like, you have to wipe before you spray.
You think you'll know that?
You have to wipe before you spray. Oh, really? Yeah.
It's only 9 o'clock in the morning, but that is, in fact, the most unsettling thing that I've heard all day.
Noted.
Now, look, I'm not gonna rag on Shannon for her butthole hygiene. However, once again, we're back to this ceremonial type garb, and it just feels like there are adornments that people were supposed to wear when they were of a really, really high status in certain societies. But I think because she has gone so deep into believing that she's this incredibly powerful being, and it's interesting because she has a lot of money, she goes on tour, like she's, you know, a successful musician, and that is powerful, that is great, but this is not the top of the pyramid where you're adorning yourself with crowns and bracelets and gems and stones and little tiny tops. Okay, wait, but I want to know, how did we get to this point? Because
For the Secret Circus video.
this is Shannon 8 years ago. This is her. I feel like I'm watching found footage.
Once upon a party, I saw the man of my dreams.
We're losing this fight.
He was my
Okay, all right. It's not for me, but one thing I will give Shannon is that it seems like she's been, I mean, this video was posted 8 years ago. She's probably been a musician for 10, 15 years, something like that. Probably picked up a guitar when she was really, really young. I like that. I think that's cool. Well, let's go back to as far as I can find on Shannon's TikTok, which is 2022, to figure out how exactly we got to this point.
I would say what I want.
Okay.
Got some drugs in the boat.
There's still some red flags here, okay? She's got the 999 necklace on, the puka shell resurgence, but it's really just giving Instagram girl here. It's just giving Instagram model, and she's still doing her thing. She's still making her music, Shannon Blake style. Hey! This is her just like 2 or 3 months later. It's the first appearance of the wool dreads. This is where everything just starts taking off.
Sunshine and blue skies are just fine, but sometimes
We had a couple more bangles, a few more puka shells. Don't forget the puka shells. This expedited everything. I was looking at an Instagram model 2 seconds ago, and now we're here. We're back in the void.
I might die, but I like the high.
Oh my God, they were right. We are deep in the Doja accent. Deep!
That's my sucker, that's my honor. On the storm, you always want it. Lightning, but I strike your thunder.
I feel like I would get bullied if I did this voice. And I got some melanin, okay? I know I said my whole point of this was diving in and trying to figure out why I don't love Miss Shannon Blake. However, I can't even think straight. I feel like I'm just so, I can't stop looking at what is going on. What is happening? I feel like it's working. I'm fascinated by this, unfortunately, but in a train wreck kind of way. In like, it feels like a train crashing into a wall over and over and over again. Also, when I first found her, I think it was on Instagram, and I immediately went to her page to see who I knew that followed her, and there was like 2 people, and I was like, okay, this checks out. That's a fun game to play. Go to Shannon's Instagram and see who you know that follows her. I thought there would be more of a timeline of events, but it appears that we just continue to add more curls and more dreadlocks. And of course, more accessories.
I eat it up like it's my vitamins. If I get sick, I prescribe a hot bath and gin. Massage my tits and remind myself from the shit.
I just love that as a concept of self-care. I can't believe I'm doing this. I hate myself so much. I can't do it. I can't do it because I know this is gonna get clipped. I'm so cool. I can't do it. I need some gin. Okay, listen, here's my shocking conclusion. Some of the things that Shannon Blake preaches about self-love, and that's also part of the problem, is that she's preaching. Like somebody mentioned earlier in that spiritual psychosis video, some of the concepts she's talking about, like self-love and putting yourself first and fully believing in yourself, are really, really, really beautiful. But I think part of the reason why some of us are so wildly disconnected from this is because it seems like it has reached a maximum threshold, an almost concerning threshold. I don't think this is a scenario where people are really, really jealous of just like her confidence or how pretty she is. Also, let's just face that. Shannon Blake is incredibly pretty. She's a very, very pretty person, and she also is very confident. And a lot of times we see people hating women that are beautiful and confident. But
with Shannon, it's a pretty special case because it feels like she is unreachable. It feels like it's almost a delusion, and it feels like she's telling the masses, come with me, come join into my delusion. All you have to do is take this and love yourself. And I can understand why that could be really concerning for a lot of people. Shannon's content might actually be inspiring people to do something like this.
Being an alien, being a human, the only way to activate is through the
We create the world with what we know. And unfortunately for Teresa Lewis, she didn't know much. She was a girl that came from a small town where all there was to do was go to church. That's even where she met her first husband. That guy's name was Billy Bean. Yeah, we're in Danville, Virginia. But to most people, Teresa had it all. Marriage, family, a comfortable life. But being a kept woman in a poor town doesn't have many bells and whistles. She wanted more. She wanted excitement. And she found that in a 21-year-old guy that she met in a Walmart while waiting in line. This life-changing meeting quickly goes from drugs and sexcapades in parking lots with her daughter to one of the most horrific murders I've ever seen. And Teresa, not to spoil it, but they executed her. Teresa Michelle Wilson was born April 25th in 1969 in Danville, Virginia. Yes, she is originally from there. This is one of those small towns where when you're born there, you don't always leave. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some people get out, but you know exactly what I mean. There's not much inspiration going on. There's not many people that get out. So a lot of the residents don't really think that it's possible for them. Now, Danville isn't just your typical suburb. It's got more of an industrial feel. Most of the residents either worked in the textile factories or the tobacco farms. So this means that people had jobs for their entire lives. Like, why leave? And also, it means there are a lot of transplants as well. People would travel up to work at Dan River Textile Mill, which was one of the largest in the South. Back in the 1960s, this textile mill employed over 18,000 people in a city where the population was only about 50 or 60,000. I mean, this place took over the whole town. Families worked here, couples worked here, couples met here. And also, this was a place where people were doing a lot of labor with their hands. It was very exhausting. So their lives were very much get up in the morning, you know, talk to your family for 2 seconds, get off to the mill, do a lot of exhausting labor all day, and then just come home and be tired. Really, that's it. And that's what over 30% of the population in the city was doing. Now, people that worked a lot at the factories and were able to control their budget could honestly save quite a bit of money, especially if it was passed down from family member to family member. You could acquire a bit of wealth in Danville. But Teresa's family was not wealthy at all. They were poor, and they worked at Dan River Textile Mill for very, very meager pay. Teresa's family were not the type of people that were coming in and giving this job their all, asking for raises, saving money. No, they did their jobs and then went home and got drunk or went for the high life, went for some adrenaline. I mean, their day-to-day was so boring. These are the type of people that were looking for excitement. They definitely were not saving for their future. But in towns like this, you know, getting drunk after work or going out to bars and going dancing and, you know, talking to people, that was normal. That's how people blew off a little bit of steam. Another thing that was pretty normal for Teresa and her family was they went to church every single Sunday. She was a church-going girl. And usually in the South, when you see somebody that is going to the church week over week, every Sunday, maybe they're doing a little Bible study on Wednesdays, you just kind of assume that they have some like strong religious morals, but really you'll find that going to church every Sunday did absolutely nothing for Teresa. Things are slow, things are boring, but that's life in Danville. Until Teresa turns 16 and she meets a guy at church. I want to be very clear. There's a lot of stories that we'll go through where there's younger girls that end up dating some sleazy older guy that basically traps her into a relationship. But that wasn't exactly the case with Teresa. By all accounts, Teresa liked older men. She liked older men because she could go out and do the things that she wanted to do with them, like go to bars, go drinking, go out dancing. People said that when Teresa found an older guy that she liked, she would heavily pursue them. Now, this could all still be some type of trauma response, but I just want to paint an accurate picture of who Teresa was when she was 16 years old. She saw these older guys as kind of a status symbol of look at how mature I am, and also she saw them as a means to do things that she wanted to do, which were a little bit more adult. Now, this guy was Billy Bean. He was 20 years old and Teresa was 16 years old. Now, nowadays, we would be mean mugging this relationship. 16 and 20 years old, she's still in high school. But this was normal for people in the South, and they just said, oh, she found someone. I know the climate of the internet is a lot different now because a lot of us have dated these older guys and we look back on it like, what the fuck was I thinking? That guy was a creep. But people welcomed this in Teresa's life, so much so that she dropped out of high school and got married to him. So there's elements of Teresa liking these older guys and pursuing them, but then there's also elements of the town just kind of enabling this type of behavior. You know, drop everything in your life at 16 and marry this guy and become a dedicated wife. I think it's really, really important to take ourselves out of 2024 for a minute and sit in this time period so that you can understand how unprogressive Danville was. There was almost no way out, and for them, the schematic of being happy was getting married, going to church, and having a family. And that's what they did. Now, that's Teresa's family that says, yeah, you go, girl, go do that. Go drop out